the one thing to defeat He-Man. I stole it from J.J. Abrams. It's a mystery box.
Well, what'll it do?
I don't know. It's a mystery box.
What's inside?
I don't know. It's a mystery.
It's Tuesday. It's time once again for Midnight's Edge After Dark. I'm Tom Connors, and with me, as always, is my partner in crime, Script Doctor. How you doing?
I'm doing well this evening. How's everyone else doing?
Hopefully well. And also hanging with us, it's Taco Tuesday. It wouldn't be without Mexican Iron Man. How you doing, Mike?
Very well. Great to be here.
Handing out virtual tacos for one and all.
Indeed. Virtual tacos on Taco Tuesday. Extra super chats tonight. Get an extra helping of virtual guacamole to support the great efforts of the corporate office Midnight's Edge. Thank you.
There you go. And also, speaking of the corporate office, we have the boss man with us today. How you doing, Andre?
Greetings, everyone. I'm still awake to answer D. Bud Martin's question in the chat, but I won't be for long. So
yeah, you'll be joining us for just a short period. But Jesse's on vacation, but he sent us in a super chat and says, "Wee!" He's having a good time, I heard. So I talked
He's either on a roller coaster or with a woman.
Well, he was. I think he's headed to the Hard Rock Cafe, if I remember right. But
as I always say, one does not have to rule out the other.
That is correct.
I think he said he was on some rides though earlier, so I can't remember his exact itinerary. He told me, but he's having a good time, and that's all that matters. So, but with that, we're glad to have all you guys here. We're hoping to give you a good time. We got Darth Scipio in the chat. Lindsay, the Cynical Geek, is hanging in there, being a wrench for us today. We appreciate that. We got Annabelle hanging out. We got Gary Wintle. That's a new name, but welcome, welcome. Techman Blades here, Criticizable, a.k.a. Big Pig Daddy. We got Release the McCracken. Willie Woodward's hanging out, our good buddy, of course. How you doing, Willie? We got Night Raven. We got Super Blubberpuss here. We got E. Clay Thompson. We got plenty of members of the channel, speaking of E. Clay, as well as Joker Voice. Welcome, welcome. We've got Zontar and so much more. Thank you for joining us. Shum is here, of course. Dermot McQuaid and so many more. Welcome all. Oh, Goddess of Women, Stephanie Janicek are also hanging out. Welcome, guys. We appreciate it. And yeah, so it's been a slow couple weeks until recently. Now all of a sudden we've got some news, but we'll see how this goes. Where should we start with this? Let's start with this part of the news because I wonder if this will affect another part. And we'll probably talk a little bit about this tomorrow morning, I'm imagining. But I know you were upset about this, Andre. It's going around that Venom 2 is going to be delayed until 2022.
Yeah, this is sadly no surprise. We, you in particular, were talking about it like months ago, that Sony being Sony, this is one that they could easily delay. Personally, I hope they wouldn't, because as I've been saying a few times, Venom Let There Be Carnage is honestly the only Marvel-themed movie I'm looking forward to right about now. So I want to see it as fast as possible, but like push back everything else, and I'm cool, but not that one movie. And of course, that's the one that they'll push back.
Well, between that and Ghostbusters, they have less incentive to put them out. I think the only one they probably have less say in the matter on would be Spiderman, but we'll get to that. Stephen Otten is here as well. Hello, Stephen. Says, hail, Andre Toms, Mike, Script, Wrenches, and Chat. Hopefully there will be no delayed releases, but there are many variables. And yeah, we were talking a little bit about this before the show. And again, we can't get into the specifics as why, because I mean, we all kind of know why, right? Like, there's no reason in getting into that part. But no, I've seen this coming for a while now, specifically in the last few weeks here, more so, where things are talking about getting shut down again.
Yeah,
Sony don't play around.
The Delta Force will do that.
Yeah. But Script, you're actually in the industry. So what are you seeing from your point of view on this? I know you've been more busy lately. Like, you've been back to work. So does this kind of a thing scare you? Is this something that's kind of like, oh shit, here we go again?
I mean, it's weird because it's something that I too was like in the same camp as you. I was thinking, yeah, they're probably going to push back some more movies just because of the whole climate thing going on with the situation we're all dealing with. So yeah, I wasn't too surprised, but at the same time, I also was surprised because again, they started the marketing campaign for this. So that's money spent, and they're just opening up a larger window where they could be advertising, but they're not going to want to spend the same dollars consistently for that period. So it just seems kind of weird that they, make their announcement, make their theatrical debut announcement, and then push it back again, which means that now there's a weekend where there's a slot open for another movie to squeeze in, and doesn't look like anyone's taking it at this point. And that's weird because someone should be clamoring for that at least.
Well, I think that's the bigger picture here is there really going to be something to come? I mean, our theater is going to be opening, and we were just talking about this before. Like, yeah, granted, in the bigger cities, they have been closed for pretty much this entire thing, right?
Yes.
But if you go to smaller areas, more rural areas, especially where I'm at, theaters have been opening the whole time. I brought the story 20 times about how this local theater reopened, plus they reopened the drive-in, which is another point you brought up too, Script, is that there's a lot more drive-ins, and that's true because we were at a point pre all this stuff where I believe there was less than one drive-in per state in the United States at this point. And now we're at quadruple, probably 10 times that. I don't even know the number now. But Mike, you were just bringing up the fact that you've been going religiously to the theater.
Yeah, this is coming up on my fourth week here. An interesting thing, and I'm definitely in a small market. As you know, I'm out here in South Carolina on the Hilton Head Island. That's my southern person. Okay. Well, anyway, so an interesting thing happened to me. I usually go on. I usually go Mondays and Wednesdays. For the last 3 Mondays in a row, there's been more and more people in my local theater. There are like 50 people there out of maybe 120 person. Let's see, that's 10 rows, about 12. Yeah, they're the big recliners. So this time there were about maybe 50 people in 120, 130 foot or seat theater, and an interesting thing happened. During the previews, there were some people being pretty rowdy, and I was getting annoyed, and I almost called management and to tell them to shut up because the previews were going on, and then when my local theater shows Bugs Bunny cartoons and Looney Tunes and stuff, and I love those, and they were still kind of talking, and then I started listening to what they were saying, and actually. What they were is they were excited, and they were talking about how it was the first time they'd been to the movies in a year and a half. And they were like taking pictures of each other. They're posting on their Instagram and their Facebook for what they were saying. I could hear them because I was down the row. I was at the other end of the row, and it was an event to them. And I was really taken aback because to me, I've been going for a few weeks, and I think I had commented on a previous show that I generally have gone for years, arguably, I think 2 decades. I've gone to the movies at least once a week on average, every week, sometimes twice a week for at least a couple decades. Literally, that's just like, it's just, I just go all the time. And to me, it was just, hey, my treat, because I worked really hard. We had a really good show Monday. And I wanted to, treat myself. And so I took myself to the movies. And these guys, is 2 families, obviously. They were, it was an event to them. They were excited. And as they were leaving after the movie that we saw, I heard them say to their dad, and they were all teenagers and in their 20s. I heard them say, hey, can we come again this Saturday? And then I heard the dad say, well, let's see about that. Let's see what comes out, and we'll see about maybe we'll come back on Sunday. So, I don't know, but I'm in a very small market. I'm on Hilton Head Island out here in South Carolina. I thought that was a very encouraging sign, and I was surprised to all hell that they regard like a normie, a very much a normie moviegoer, treated it like such a big deal because it was just Free Guy. I mean, it's not like it was some epic blockbuster. Although Free Guy is you know what I mean. You know what I mean.
Well for Disney right now,
not a big tentpole film, but it's a fun comedy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
we'll
and
actually,
everything. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, we'll actually ask you about the movie itself here a little later, but go ahead and finish what you're going to say.
I was just going to say that I took that as an incredibly positive sign that these folks, that it was such a big deal for them to go to the movies and that it was the first time to go. And that gave me that gave me some hope for cinema. And because I felt, I've said this on the show for a while now, and that to me, I have a great home system. I have a great TV. Thanks to Tom, I only buy 4K now. But I still like going to the movies. I don't want to see a new release the day it comes out on my streaming service. I mean, I can. I have a pretty amazing experience at home in my living room, but it's not the same. It's just not.
Well, okay, so we got almost 200 people watching. Go ahead and throw up in the chat a 1 if you've been back to the theater since all the shutdowns, 2 if you have not. I'm just kind of curious. But Andre, so let's get back to you here. So I don't know if this is necessarily a done deal yet. I believe I can't remember the outlet that originally is reporting it as a done deal, but like everybody else is saying that it's a rumor at this point. They have not had Sony confirm it. So I see a few people have been back to the theater, but not many. But go ahead. Sorry.
Team split.
Yeah. To me, it seems like the kind of rumor that is a done deal. It's just not quite confirmed yet. So now, when we have this softening of the blow, I would not be surprised if we learn before long that yes, it has been pushed back, because Free Guy, however an event it was, it didn't do amazing, did it? It was like the worst box office numbers since June. So you have like some indications that people aren't going to theaters in the numbers that the theaters, especially Sony, would like. And if they then have the opportunity to push something back even more, why should they not take advantage of it?
Well, and
I would say. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Tom.
Well, no, I was just going to say, here's the thing that kind of, I think it has less to do with Free Guy and more to do with Suicide Squad.
Could be. Well, I also think they might want to take advantage of the. I think they want to take advantage maybe of the January, February market, because it doesn't even matter right now with regards to, the seasons or the competition of other films. But the fact of the matter is that you throw an action film, especially something like this, after the holidays, you tend to usually, regardless of a pandemic, you tend to usually get a good turnout. And they might be wanting to bank on that, because this one here is going to be was originally slotted to come out just before Ghostbusters, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I believe, yeah, this was the movie just before, because
I think
Ghostbusters was November, this was October, yeah.
Yeah, I think Sony's hedging their bets and saying, like, let's just take Venom away and not have it impede on whatever could happen with Ghostbusters, and push that off to after the holidays so that it can have its own little run.
It's interesting you bring that up, Script, because that actually brings up one of our other stories we're going to get to, but reportedly the surprise screening of Ghostbusters at Cinemacon was a huge fucking success. So maybe you're right in that respect. Maybe they're still hoping by then things will have cleared up a little bit and they don't want to chance this. But the other thing is if they move this to February next year, February is where Deadpool had its success originally.
Yeah.
So you could be right about that as well. What do you think on that, Andre?
I think it's going to depend more on what the world looks like. If people are terrified of going, or if people feel more confident about it by then, I think that's more important than Deadpool did good in February. That was like the olden times. That was like ancient history now. Now it's like a complete reset, and we'll see what happens. I think we have to rechart which month is good and which month is bad, and which factors are positive and which factors are negative. I think all the traditional rules are, until we see a situation where things resume to something like they were, if that ever happens, the traditional rules of thumb no longer apply.
Yeah, I would say the foundation has gone from concrete to a bit more of a liquid state at this point, I guess.
Yeah, liquid sand.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got a point there. I mean, now, Mike, I got to ask this from an avid film goer's point of view. Do you think that this is going to change going forward, like a lot of how people go to see movies? I know there's a lot of people in the chat saying, I don't want to go. There's, the standard reasons why they don't want to go, but I'm looking at more of now like the factor that you've got people used to the way things are. The only movie that's really done, or movies plural, that have really done anything since theaters have kind of reopened have been Godzilla versus Kong and Fast 9. So do you think that's the future, is just the event movies are the movies that are going to get people to come out and see this? Or do you think that things are going to get back to normal eventually if they're allowed to, and people will be unafraid to get out and go to the movies? Let's start with Mike on that one.
I think people are going to get back out to go for a couple reasons. Number one is that while you might get used to being home, people have a craving, desirous need to get out. Even I do. And I'm a guy whose day job is in front of a computer screen doing accounting and tax. So I'm very comfortable at a desk. And Lord knows I love my gadgets. But I still have the craving to go out to see. And there's absolutely zero reason why I should be paying to go to the movies when I can have all kinds. I've got a list of anime a mile long right now, stuff I got to catch up on because I'm getting into that now. But and then I think individually, and then I saw that happen yesterday. It really floored me. I really thought about it. When I got home, I took little Bambino Chihuahua out for a walk, and it was on my mind for a good 30, 45 minutes. Just sit there and watch these group of people who on any other given year would go to this movie and just sit down, have some popcorn, and watch the trailers. Yet to them, it was an event. And it wasn't just that they were seeing a movie. It wasn't just that they were going out. They were going out together. And truth be told, let me give you the full experience. Everybody on the staff had a mask on. I stayed late till I waited to see what they did to the room. They came in, the cleaning crew came and they sprayed everything down. I got a message on my Fandango that said, what the condition, what the situation was. I'm in a place where no one's wearing masks out here in South Carolina in Hilton Head. What I saw this group of people do is that they wanted to go with each other. And overall, I think the human condition is one that we didn't survive as a species by being lone hunters in trees and in caves by ourselves. And people want to be out, and people are not going to take staying in forever one way or the other. Now, there might be people that say, I don't want to go out because of this, that, and the other, but man, I felt very comfortable. I got to tell you, and the theater did everything they could to give me a good experience. I had no complaints, and I was really taken back by watching how excited this average normie these two families were to go out.
Well, and that's kind of the thing, and I think Destiny brings up a good point here. The selections of films has not been that great. That's another point, but I think is another thing we got to take into consideration as well. What do you think on that point, Script?
I also think Destiny Captain makes a great point with that. It's not just enough that certain restrictions are lifted. Once those are lifted, you really need to have something that's good enough to get people out of their homes to watch it.
Right.
And that could be probably the next indicator with regards to a film renaissance. Like, people are going to start seeing within a year and a half, if things go in a more socially acceptable direction of interaction and whatnot, that you got to compete with your streaming service, and on top of that, you also have to compete with the conditioning that a lot of people have undergone, where they just don't want to go out anymore. And the only way you can really do that is to have a film that it piques enough people's interest that they want to leave their homes to do it, and they don't want to. And it's a film that is just not going to be available on a streaming service. So it's going to be it's just going to be very interesting what's happening in the next few years. I wish there was, we've never experienced this before with this type of society that we've had.
Right.
We've never had a situation where we've locked down the world and then they're trying to get back into the swing of things, as it were. So what are the conditions going to be? I mean, it's nice that Mike, Mexican Iron Man, you're seeing that families are going out to the theater. That's one good thing. But the theater was also the dating opportunity. You take it, it's like your second date type of thing or something of that nature. So we have to take a look at that angle as well. Are younger people mingling? Are they going out? Where opportunities are there? Are there entertainment avenues for that? There's a lot of competition. And then you also have to think about new parents. Do they want to take their 2-year-old to a movie theater? No, if they can stay home, they're going to stay home. So there's a lot of variables that we have to be considering here. And I don't think it's ever going to be what it once was. It will just maybe be something a bit more adjacent to that habit.
Well, I think you're right. I think we're facing a new frontier when it comes to film. But I want to get Andre's reaction to something I posted on Twitter yesterday. I don't know if you got a chance to see it, but Valiant Renegade is hanging out in the chat. Valiant, I did send you a link if you want to hop in. Says, evening, folks. Looking forward to a fun show. Well, hopefully we make it a little fun. Jesse's not here, so we're not going to be talking about 70s Bush probably, but you never know what happens later on. We get a little loopy and shit happens. Goddess of Whim says, I don't want to pay for a movie at home where I might fall asleep. Sounds like a waste of money. Well, there's that aspect of it too. And, that kind of goes with the whole National Theater Association deal they had. I think it was yesterday or whatever that I saw the report on today was like, like they're talking about the idea of what it means to have a movie in the theater and what that does to the perception of it. But speaking of perception, I think one of those big movies that might be able to get people back in theaters is a movie you're really invested in, Andre, at least emotionally and as a fan, is a Dune. And did you see the I think it was a Chinese trailer that dropped yesterday, or Japanese trailer? I can't remember which.
Actually, there was a Norwegian trailer too.
I didn't see the Norwegian one, but I dropped the other one on Twitter.
Yeah, no, I did not see it, and I've decided I'm not going to see any more trailers before I see the movie, because I can see the movie here in Norway in 2 weeks.
Well, yeah, this new trailer looked pretty interesting. I thought it showed a much more of the epicness of it, a lot more of the war stuff. This is the kind of stuff I'm like, why aren't they showing this in the trailers here? Like, this is going to get people in the Lord of the Rings kind of mood, right? Like, this is the epic stuff they need to be showing, at least in my opinion. And Stephen Otten says, speaking of epic, we can't talk about 70s Bush. Oh, come on. I didn't say you couldn't. I just said we may not get there because generally we need the Jesse factor to get there.
Yeah, no, no, and we don't want to do that because the boss is here.
Well, maybe the boss likes 70s Bush. You don't know.
No, boss, no.
Oh no. But so yeah, do you think that? Well, you got a chance to see it in 2 weeks. Do you think Dune might be that movie that gets some butts back in the seats, Andre?
I hope so. I sincerely hope so. But at this rate, who knows? Who can say?
Yeah, and as Six says, I'm always in the Lord of the Ring mood. Well, I think this might be a movie that has that potential. I don't know what you guys think. But yeah, going back to the numbers you guys threw out in the chat, a lot of people have not been back to the movies. Quite a few ones, but more overwhelmingly, a lot more twos. And I mean, people even bring up the question of whether or not they'll ever go back. I mean, and I get it. Some people are just sick and tired of the bullshit.
It's also the convenience factor too, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you can tell them it's coming to your home.
Exactly. I mean, then there's the whole factor of piracy and beyond that. But okay, so let's really wrap back around and get back to Venom 2 here. So this, not only if this happens, which it isn't a done deal necessarily, but let's just say for the sake of argument that it is. Sure. This will likely take the spot of Morbius, which will also be pushed probably to about spring or summer of next year.
Yeah, guaranteed, because there's no point in releasing one without the other, since apparently there's a connection.
And I'm willing to bet that Spider-Man may still be on track. Now, I've predicted that might get pushed, but I think that they have less. Like, I think they're going to have to struggle with Disney on that one. Because we got to remember, guys, because Gary and Az were talking about this a little bit ago on BBC with Mahler and stuff, and I couldn't get their attention, but they were kind of on the right track if anybody was here listening to them. There was, especially back in the first two Spider-Man films and throughout his appearances, a 25%, for the sake of argument, no other way of putting it, different Spider-Man universe that was forced upon the MCU. Andre, do you want to enlighten the audience a little bit about what I'm talking about?
Yeah, we have covered this a little bit earlier, actually, and this has something to do with this unique situation where Sony are the ones that hold the movie rights, and in principle, they can take those movie rights back again. However, any character that they fully give to Marvel for use in a joint co-production, then those characters would be frozen meaning that neither Marvel nor Sony could use them again for X amount of years. Now, of course, Marvel would be very happy with this if you have like the original characters that Sony can't use in case of a breakup, but Sony is less pleased with that. So part of the deal then was that they couldn't use the characters from the Spider-Man comics exactly as they were. They had to be changed up a little bit for the reason that in case of a breakup, it would then be these new characters created for this movie that would be frozen. So for instance, then it would be MJ, played by Zendaya, that would be frozen in case of a breach, while Sony could still continue using Mary Jane Watson, the Ginger, because she would not be frozen, only the MJ iteration.
Yeah.
Likewise, Ned Leeds, the friend from the Ned Leeds as he is in the movies. That's a combination of, I forget the name.
Well, I was going to say the easy way to explain it is they basically had to reskin Miles Morales characters in the Spider-Man universe, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much, they combined like two characters into one, and that way
there is an excessive amount of mixing and matching that we've been.
And I don't mean to use the term reskinned in any kind of racial way either.
It's a veneer.
I mean that in like the video game term of the. But okay, we got somebody in the back coming in, and I'm kind of mad at him because I actually had a warning ready for him, but he wasn't here on time. So here's the warning, by the way, that was gonna start the show. But he didn't get here on time.
I can make a warning noise.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
All right.
Real life gets in the way sometimes.
I had a backup just in case. So.
All right. Well, I'm glad I could be here to see this this change in some characters.
But yes. Anyway, Andreas was explaining that there was like a 25% different rule between Sony and MCU prior to this. That was up until.
Yeah, to be clear, it's not 25% different. Like, these are new characters, and in being new characters, then they are what would be frozen, whereas Sony would keep the original ones in case of a breach. That would be until Marvel and Sony creates a new deal which is so enhanced that there's no risk of anything like that happening.
And
that
I actually.
would be null and void.
I don't remember if you covered this in the initial video because it's been that long ago, but I remember reading something about this later on. But remember how part of the deal to extend the Spider-Man contract with Sony, Sony gave back Marvel a bunch of the, if not all, the merchandising rights to Spider-Man. Another reason for this 25% in quotations.
That was ages ago.
Yeah.
That was them basically tricking Avi Arad. That was years ago.
I read something somewhere though that another reason for this switcheroo deal with the characters was so Sony could be in on the contract while Marvel could continue to do the other Spider-Man stuff without worrying about Sony. But if it's one of the MCU Homecoming or Far From Home or any of those kind of characters that they put out specifically, Sony gets a bite of those, I guess, is part of this deal, is what I heard or read somewhere. I can't remember the exact article, but like I remember coming across that in between all this stuff. So I think there's some validity to that whole thing. But now we're to a new deal because, as you remember, very publicly there was a bit of an outing between the two. Like Sony had ghosted Disney for 6 months after the release of Spider-Man Far From Home. And they wanted a new deal, basically, is what ended up happening. I think Amy Pascal was part of the problem. But I don't know what Andre wants to say about that. But I believe the new part of the deal now is that's why we can see all these OG characters and everything like that. A lot of that stuff's being erased. Even though it's only for a few movies, I believe this deal is going to continue for a while under Tom Rothman's rule. What do you think about that, Andre?
I think so, and I hope so. It certainly seems that relations are much warmer and friendlier than they've ever been before. So hopefully that's a good sign.
Because from what we remember reporting, I mean, I know a lot of this was rumor, whatever, however you want to put it. It was like basically it's a 50-50 deal now. They pay for, like, Disney pays half and Sony pays half, and There's like a
I
distribution.
don't know that it
deal
was
and-
50-50, but it was a much closer link than there ever was before.
Yeah. And I think this is also where the line can now be blurred with the classic versions of these characters as well, is my point I was getting to.
Yeah,
In a
Which
bad
gets
way.
to the
that's-
trailer.
And that's in a bad way or a good way?
Well, we'll discuss that. Andre has to be off, though, but that's going to bring us up to our reaction to the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer, actually. And I'm sure we'll get more into that tomorrow morning with Andre on his part, but I'll let him speak on that real quick before he checks out. And speaking of checking out, we have somebody checking in. Valiant Renegade is also joining us, so welcome,
Hey,
Valiant.
Valiant.
Hey, gentlemen, how are you this evening? I've got about an hour tonight, just fair warning, but I just wanted to come join the chat while I can. What's up?
Well, we were
Not
hoping
much.
that
We
you
were just saying goodbye to Andre, actually. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, so perfect time to come. No, I just wanted to say, be sure to check us in the live show tomorrow. I'll go into my thoughts on the Spider-Man trailer then. Plus, we have Kamran Pasha, so that should be a real hoot.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right. Take care, everyone.
Take care,
Bye, boss.
Andre.
Good night, Andre.
So let's
Take
start
care,
with
Andre.
our latest guests. Valiant, what was your thoughts on the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer?
Well, I tell you what, I late night last night, the last couple of days for me have been nuts. But I got home last night, like right at 8:30 Central Time, and sat down, turned on the computer, opened up Twitter. I was actually turning on Toxic Femmes. Might have been actually about 9 o'clock. And boom, the first thing I see on Twitter 1 minute ago, and I follow both Marvel and Sony. And there it was 1 minute before I had sat down, they posted the trailers. I'm like, oh crap. I guess they said, screw it, because after the leaks, they said, well, we got to put it out and just get it going. I enjoyed it. And I mean, just all fairness, I'm really a sucker for Doctor Strange. I love Benedict Cumberbatch. I love pretty much every movie he's been in.
Yes.
And I was very excited to see, at least from what we've got, that glimpse in that trailer of how involved he is. I did hear some complaints about, he seemed to just kind of give in and cast the spell to bail Peter's ass out, make everybody forget. And I said, whoa. I said, number one, these are MCU trailers. They are notoriously deceptive. They throw a lot of red herrings. They use a lot of deceptive cuts and edits. I don't think that's going to happen, because I see this kind of being set up, me personally, as what we saw with Infinity War and Endgame, that kind of Strange, where he had to willingly give the stone to Thanos because that was the only way out of the predicament. And then even you got Tilda Swinton's character in Endgame that said, he gave it away willingly. Strange is supposed to be the best of us, blah, blah, blah. And I said, I took that logic and I had to apply it to this trailer. And I'm like, well, yeah, Strange is doing something that we all look at the way it's edited and saying, why would a guy like Strange do this? He would never do this. He's probably being put in a position to where he has no other alternative but to cast this spell. And this obviously, he's taken the lesser of two evils. So that's what I saw in the trailer. That was my biggest takeaway, me personally. But otherwise, I enjoyed it. So,
all right. Well,
yeah.
Wild Man Beyond sent in $5. Thank you so much. It says, after what I've seen, this is better. This will be better than The Flash. Well, pending at least a trailer for that, I'm going to hold off on that, whether to comment on that or not. But Culture, since you're our other newest guest, what did you think of the trailer?
I felt that it was fine. After the leaks and everything and all the effort that was put into, squashing those as it just kept popping up everywhere else. I from what I was understanding, it was going to get released relatively soon anyway. I believe those leaks came from Cinemacon. We were talking about that earlier today. And, I feel like it's going to be an okay film. I'm still not excited for it. I mean, it still is trying to entangle too many different things, too many things to explain away problems with each of the films that they've been, adding to as each film has been released. I don't know. I know this is an unpopular opinion and it's fine, but I've never been a Tom Holland fan as the character. Not as an actor, but as this character. So I don't know. I mean, they obviously are returning to a less, robot-y Spider-Man. right? You're ending up with like an actual suited Spider-Man again instead of a,
The Iron Spider.
Iron Spider. Yeah. Thank you. But you're wasting several opportunities in my opinion. And that's, I guess, yeah, we'll see. I can't make an opinion about the film until I see it. This will be one of the few films I see from the Marvel universe in the next few years. The only other one that I got any excitement about other than Venom, of course, which is, again, it's just pretty much a Sony film, is Doctor Strange itself, which of course he makes obviously quite the important appearance in this film. So I don't know. We'll see. I rambled for 5 minutes. Was that good enough?
No. I think here's the thing, though. Going off of what you said, I think this is going to lead more into Doctor Strange than anything. That's going to be a setup for the Multiverse of Madness. On that note, Mikey, what'd you think?
I liked it. It's hard to get back into Marvel after getting so much crap.
Yeah.
I would say, let me describe this. This was back in the day when things were firing on all cylinders. I would have been like, ooh, pick me to go to this movie. Pick me to go to this movie. This time I watched it, I was like, well, I'm going to see a movie or two every week. I'll just put this in whenever I see it, and then I'll slot it in. Lukewarm.
Wow. I'm kind of surprised.
Yeah.
Normally Mikey's
I know, bro. I know I'm usually so positive about stuff, but I got to tell you, then the Venom thing kind of hit me hard, because I would say if I were going to pick a movie I was going to like, that I was really looking forward to, that one's at the top of the list in terms of like the superhero genre. And I think that took a lot of wind out of my sails today. Again, true. Also, remember, I'm a DC guy. I've never really, I'm not one of these that's going to have the great Spider-Man debates, type of thing. I mean, I don't know. I think Marvel's worn me down and out, frankly.
Fair enough.
Yeah, and look, I mean, let's get to the top end of both of these companies, right? Let's talk both Sony and Disney at the moment. Rothman is in a better position right now with the character that he controls than Disney is with all of the characters that they control. I mean, it's just the way it is. I mean, this film we're looking at and the crossover with Doctor Strange would not have happened had not there been some horse trading involved and the actor Tom Holland at the center of it all. Because
you got to remember though, Tom Rothman's been mostly hands off on this shit.
No,
he does not like anything to do with these things. He is more than happy to let Marvel handle this.
No, from that perspective, certainly. But from owning this really important, in fact, you have to think Spider-Man is essentially the center of the Marvel characters, much like Superman and Batman are the center of the DC characters. And I mean, it is just, that's the way it's been, and just because Iron Man is what brought the current iteration of the MCU to the cultural zeitgeist, that doesn't indicate who the most popular characters were in their comics. I mean, Spider-Man, arguably probably the most, if not the second most important character to Marvel. Whereas, like I said, I mean, DC's never lost control of the two primary characters, or the what we call them, the trilogy, including Wonder Woman. They've never lost control of the three most important characters. Marvel, before Disney acquired them, did, right? So, like I said, I mean, Rothman is going to yield the fruits from this just out of good executive management. Whereas,
that's not 100% true, though.
You don't think
Culture,
so?
Because technically, the best Superman movie we've ever gotten was a negative pickup.
That's true.
I was going to say what Culture just said.
That's like some very inside baseball, but still, anyway, sorry about it.
No, quite all right. I was going to just a couple of things real quick. Number one, Culture's right. And that was a thought and a comment that I had very recently, was that right now, as of phase 4 for Marvel, at least until we get to, maybe Doctor Strange a year from now, and God knows what's going to happen with James Gunn with all this new stuff going on. But Guardians of the Galaxy still 3-4 years away, or whatever it's going to be. The most bankable, popular character that's still left at this point in MCU Phase 4 is owned by Sony. period.
Yep.
And that's Spider-Man. And what I was going to ask as a, you know, as a second question to everybody's reaction to this trailer, because this was something that I immediately felt when I watched this last night. I want everybody to ask themselves, and in the audience too, ask yourself this, post a comment in the chat. Let's see it. When you looked at the Spider-Man trailer, do you feel like that, you know, we've seen the trailers now for Shang-Chi. We've seen the trailers for the Eternals. We have seen 3, let's face it, ho-hum at best, lukewarm, tepid receptions to these Disney Plus Marvel shows.
Yeah.
Would not this Spider-Man movie, probably marketing-wise, not have been the best thing to launch Phase 4? Instead of, I mean, we're now 6 properties into Phase 4. Can you imagine if that trailer had come out first? If that had launched Phase 4 and then all of this had come after it?
You're probably not wrong, Valiant, but let me throw one thing out there here. Like if you're a band that only has like one hit, you don't play it right away in the set, right?
No, I understand that. But let me put it this way. Look at, and I'm not necessarily saying it had to be Spider-Man,
right?
But
right.
look at the trailer itself.
Okay.
That looked like a Marvel trailer. That looked like an MCU property, right? It had this big gravitas to it. You had you had the feeling that there was a lot of weight that there's going to be in this thing. Nobody's gotten that from Shang-Chi. Nobody's gotten that from the Eternals. Nobody's really gotten that from any of the MCU properties. I
kind of see what you're saying now, but
it didn't have to be. Yeah, had it been Spider-Man and Strange right off the bat. But I went back and like my reaction video I did last night when the Spider-Man thing came out. One of the things I kind of harkened back to was that seeing that trailer really kind of pissed me off, and just seeing how stupid it was, because like a lot of people here, we all kind of tend to like Doctor Strange, and it's relatively popular character now. Benedict Cumberbatch is a popular guy. What if they had left him in WandaVision like they originally intended to do?
Oh, it would be night and day. I mean, again, you're not wrong.
How different would that have started Phase 4?
Well, let's get the reaction of the storyteller, Script Doctor. We haven't.
We're going to go back on topic now.
Yes, thanks. What's your reaction to the Spider-Man trailer?
I saw a lot of things that echoed stuff I've read in the comics. Benedict Cumberbatch is clearly playing 2 different characters.
Okay.
He is. He's Doctor Strange, but he's also someone with the image of Doctor Strange and some magical powers. You can kind of tell by that because he's very out of character in the trailer, and he doesn't have the Time Stone anymore. Mm-hmm. Because that's been returned to its original place and was destroyed by Thanos. So he doesn't have the means to predict the future of this situation. And Doctor Strange, the entire premise of the theme of his first movie was taking responsibility. So even in this case, Strange would not help Spider-Man remove his identity. Nor would he have any sort of issues or frustrations with trying to conjure a spell if Peter Parker was to have questions during the conjuring. So this sounds like a very type of mischievous character from the MCU that is posing as Doctor Strange. And one thing I'm well aware of is that WandaVision is part 1 of this story. Spider-Man No Way Home is part 2, and Doctor Strange The Multiverse of Madness is part 3 with regards to this overall story arc that they're exploring here. This shot right here clearly shows that there's a box here, some sort of MacGuffin box. There's Doctor Strange assaulting Spider-Man or this person posing as Doctor Strange assaulting Spider-Man. He's definitely clearly coming across as the antagonist in this story, in this trailer. Like, why is he doing that thing with the train and causing Spider-Man to leap and dodge things in between? That there's clearly a conflict going on here, along with the introduction or reintroduction of Alfred Molina, Electro, Green Goblin, whoever else they want to throw in there. It's a lot of weird things. The narrative is kind of strange, which is how is Peter Parker able to hang out with MJ on the roof of a building and not have a police helicopter over top of him or anything of that nature? Like, he's in a position where he should have no sense of peace or no ability to catch his breath, no respite at this point because of his stature. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. It felt like a normal Marvel trailer, so it didn't really get me excited. One thing that kind of annoyed me is they're making Spider-Man's costume more Venom-like with the whole nanotechnology. Like he's on the highway and he's wearing a suit, and all of a sudden he flicks a switch and his costume appears over top of him, which is just like what the symbiote would do. So yeah, it's just kind of weird. They're upping the technology advantage for Spider-Man too much, which I think it hurts the character itself. But yeah, it's just the first trailer. I mean, gotta figure out what the next one is. I've heard rumors that they're kind of manipulating the One More Day storyline from the Spider-Man comics, which is a terrible, terrible storyline.
I heard
but if they can make it work for an MCU film, that could be fun. But yeah, just it seems like it's a contrived means of shoehorning this type of conflict for Spider-Man as opposed to something that's a bit more cause and effect, more reactionary. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But there's some stuff here where I can kind of see the writer's hand, or in this case more likely Kevin Feige's hand, manipulating the players far more obviously than what we would normally get with an MCU film.
Right. Well, Slade Wilson says with $5, bets on MCU changing She-Hulk's origin since we can't have cis white male giving a wham in her powers. Well, I think he's supposed to be in the show, but a lot of people have predicted a similar scenario, Slade Wilson. So unless anybody else has any other ideas on that, I'm going to say you're probably not wrong.
Yeah.
She gets her powers from a blood transfusion. Her life is saved. So
we'll see how that works out.
Mm-hmm.
Nelson Sharetta says, No Way Home, first MCU movie since Endgame. I want.
Cool.
Well, there you go. There's that. And then Roof Korean came in just before that with, how much input does Kevin have on Sony-controlled characters? I recall it's imperative for this to succeed for Sony to keep the IP. Is that still the case? Look, we don't have the exact understanding of the contract or how it goes down, but we do know that Kevin did at least consult or work with them on Venom, Venom 2, and Morbius. And it is said that they even worked even more closely now that the deal is a little bit more cozy. But my understanding of what happened initially was it was Amy Pascal who was the one who's the resistant one from the start. She's the one who threw the fucking sandwich at Kevin, and then she was told make it happen by somebody in upper management, probably Tom Rothman. And then when they were ghosting them, it was probably her again. And then when that all went down, it was Tom Rothman who probably said, what the fuck is going on? Because it's like he doesn't have any fucks to give about this kind of shit. He don't like these kind of movies, right? Like they're not in his purview at all. Like he's more interested in getting guys like Quentin Tarantino and Nolan on board like he has.
He wants accolades, really.
Exactly. Like he doesn't give a shit about this kind of crap. So like him even trying to take credit for editing Venom was hilarious to me because, like, I believe the story that actually Kevin Feige came in and helped re-edit Venom before I believe that Tom Rothman did. Tom Rothman probably asked Kevin that I'd believe before anything else. But no, I've heard Tom Rothman on so many occasions badmouth these kind of movies that I would just not be surprised if he gives Kevin like a lot of free reign on this stuff, even under Amy Pascal's protests is the word I'm looking for.
In my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I mean Sony owns that IP. I mean,
no,
there is no obligation.
No. That's a misnomer out there, or however you want to put it. Somebody said it in some fucking article last year. And ever since then, people have been running with this idea that Sony owns Spider-Man. They don't own Spider-Man. They have the license for Spider-Man just to make live action movies and animated films.
But
and
that license, I didn't think it had any expiry on. I mean, it's kind of at their discretion.
No, well, it did have an initial expiry on it, but they extended it by giving, and this is what I talked about before you got in here, where there was a deal made, I think it was almost 10 years ago now, where Marvel got most of the rights, if not all the rights back for the toys and shit for Spider-Man. See, because Sony hasn't gotten a piece of those in years. And that's where
not since 2008.
Yeah,
okay, I remember that. But I mean, as far as the movies, my understanding was, Sony basically had Spider-Man virtually ad infinitum from movies,
Let me put it to
unless
you
they
this way.
wanted to relinquish it.
My understanding was Amazing Spider-Man happened because they had to have a Spider-Man movie into production or they were going to lose the rights.
Yes. Fun fact:
okay.
the Sony deal that allowed them to license the rights for Spider-Man initially is the money that was used as capital to create Marvel Studios.
There you go. And
Marvel
One Rough
Studios
Girl-
didn't exist until 2000 with Iron Man with 2008. There was Marvel Productions, there was Marvel Affiliates, there was Marvel Movies. Marvel Studios is its own new entity. My understanding from what I heard is that when Sony spent a heck of a lot of money to get the licensing deal, because it wasn't just Spider-Man, it was all Spider-Man characters within the Spider-Man comic book title as well, as my understanding.
Which is why they rebranded it the Sony's Spider-Verse. That's what.
Yeah, there's like over 500 some characters that are involved in it. There's, I believe, over 200 some that cross over.
Yep,
which means both Marvel and Spider and the Sonyverse can use it.
You've got significant products in pre-production modes. I'm sure Script knows that. You've got Kraven the Hunter out there, the Sinister Six. There's a bunch of stuff on the horizon coming through Sony.
Exactly, and it was only just remember, Endgame was 2018 or Infinity War was 2008. No, Endgame was 2018. When you saw the Marvel Studios logo, it highlighted the I and O and made that numbers 1 and 0 for 10 because that was 10-year anniversary of Marvel Studios, which would be from 2008. So they did not exist prior to that, which means the money that Sony paid for Marvel Studios to exist, pretty much.
Yeah, which is funny because since you guys got to remember, every deal that existed prior to the MCU was all old school deals that when Marvel was desperate and they made a bunch of shitty fucking deals.
Yeah,
so
yes,
like the
did.
Spider-Man deal was a deal that kind of refinagled throughout the years. And again, now this is why this deal is lucrative for both parts. The MCU gets to use Spider-Man, and then on the Sony side of things, they get to use MCU characters. And I know a lot of people complain about Spider-Man being Iron Man Jr., which will get into kind of my reaction to the trailer a little bit. But I want to say thank you to Rough Girl, first of all, for sending in a $1.99 super sticker. Thank you for that. And Diego Flores, brought to you from Midnight's at Espanol, says, there is also to consider this is the beginning of the hype machine for the movie and Doctor Strange. They're trying to get us back because Kevin Feige wants a theatrical release bigger than Godzilla or Mortal Kombat. Exactly. I think this movie, if it comes out this year, has the potential to be the biggest movie of the year. And we'll get into that here because, like, my reaction to this trailer is this. I was not a fan of the last one that so much, right?
Mm-hmm. Me neither.
I did love Homecoming. I loved Homecoming a lot. I saw Homecoming like 3 times.
One, right? You're talking about? That was the first one. Yeah, that was a great one.
So after seeing this trailer, which sucks because I saw it and I said this was going to happen to me. I saw the fucking bootlegged version first, and I wish I hadn't. Because I probably would have had a little bit better reaction than I did to this trailer. But I'm on board. I'm excited to see what they do with this. I have a feeling that we're going to get a little bit more of what people like with Spider-Man, because that's why I was bringing up this whole quote-unquote 25% different thing to begin with, is because I feel like a lot of the problems that people have with this all stem from that kind of shit. And hopefully this movie will do as much as it can to fix that. Now they're stuck using the MJ and some of the other characters they're already using, right? But that doesn't mean that we're not going to get a position to where it doesn't say like this other Spider-Man does exist, right? That's the thing is, so this multiverse thing kind of opens it up a little bit more to bring in other actors and players into the mix and fold, and hopefully they use it to their advantage. But like a lot of other people, I'm kind of a little leery because of the shit we've gotten so far out of the MCU. I am worried. I remember some of the leaks and some of them don't sound the greatest. I was not the biggest fan of Spider-Verse. That's been well known. I was like the only guy on the internet besides a few that didn't like it. So.
You're not going to like what they're trying to do then, because they're also trying to separate the characters Spider-Man so that they can dive more deeply into the Spider-Verse. That's their plan with these. Their version of the theatrical releases. So, like I said, I mean, you have Kraven the Hunter.
Well,
you've got
what I was getting to is I think
Six.
they were trying to do a win-win for both sides. So you got a lot of people who want to see these other properties.
I don't know if it's
stuff.
can it be maybe not a win-win, not to use the word weirdly, but transition? I mean, more like a bridge to what they want to do versus what
Maybe
fans would
that's probably a
want.
better way to put it.
I mean,
Mike,
what
yeah.
I see it as, I see it more as like, okay, let's do this so that we can migrate over here, but we're going to give them just enough to hang on to, versus something that has a stark contrast different. Now, look, I'll tell you what kind of I had to check myself, because one of the things I didn't like is I didn't like the whole Spidey Iron Kid thingy. I just didn't like it. And yeah, okay, I'm Mexican Iron Man and all that stuff, but I've read enough Spider-Man to know that the charm that he had for me was that he was a kid, he's in high school, and then he makes his own outfit, and that whole that whole like self-empowering angle. He didn't get hit by a meteorite, a ring, and I'm a big Green Lantern fan, but a ring didn't show up and transform him, and that charm seemed to have been lost when he became like this punk little mentee. Like kind of almost like it's almost like a Marvel Boys and Girls Club after school, and he was like the mentee that got picked. And I never really liked that.
Well, to be fair, now, like, yeah, in Civil War there was a lot of that, but now, and this is the argument I always make with Homecoming, because everybody says, oh, he was Iron Man Jr. Well, Tony Stark was only in that movie for about not even 10 minutes, and the whole point of his character being there was telling him, I'm taking this tech away from you, because if if you're not responsible enough to use it, then you can't have it. And he made all his own stuff, and so he actually defeats Michael Keaton with his own stuff that he made, right? So that's like part of the reason I always enjoyed that aspect.
He earns
but I will
the suit he gets. Yeah,
he exactly. He earns all that
true.
stuff. And I mean, it still shows that that's where Tony actually, he shows up on Tony's radar, not just so much that he's a superhero, but this kid is good with technology, right? Like he creates his own web shooters and all that kind of stuff. So like that, I didn't have so much of a problem with. I agree with people like, yeah, we should have been able to see more of that stuff. We got cheated out of that a little bit. Same thing with Uncle Ben, but I also understand why they didn't do that, because we don't need to see that 100 times over. And he is mentioned in there more than people think. But the thing is no, I didn't like the second one so much for the exact reason you bringing up, though, Mike, and I will give you that, because there was too much dwelling on Iron Man in the second film. Like, it was just too much of that. It was like, okay, start off with that, but then that's what this movie should be about, is Spider-Man becoming a man, right? Like,
exactly. Yes.
And I hope that's what we're going to see in this film. And I understand people's complaints that it's been a little longer to get to that point, but to me, I've always said the same thing. We've already had tons of movies where they always skip the high school aspect of Spider-Man and jump right into college years. They always kind of do that. So I had no problems with growing up with the character a little bit. That I didn't have an issue. And I like Tom Holland as the character. And I agree with script. I think people thinking this is Mephisto is probably true. It's going to lead into Doctor Strange. He is going to have to fix all this shit. But at the same time, there's certain aspects that were brought up about Doctor Strange where I can see him doing this if certain circumstances were correct. And you even had the guy just before, tease him and say, don't do it,
Wong.
it can fuck everything up. Wong, yeah.
And
of course,
but I don't
Dr.
think Wong
Strange
knew that was Mephisto, because remember, he's leaving because their entire sanctum is frozen for some reason.
Right. You got a point, script. But my point is this: Doctor Strange is also the kind of guy where if you tell him not to do something, he's going to do it.
No, he's not. He's the exact opposite of that. He overcame that arc.
That's true. You got a point there. I will give you that. But like, I mean, it depends on the circumstances. I can see it. I got to see the film.
That wink that he gave him was like, okay, yeah, no, that's not Doctor Strange. That's not the Doctor Strange.
You got a point.
Like, this is someone else posing as him. I think it's like it's an imposter deal, or I think there's something where Doctor Strange was fighting someone and then he got temporarily trapped, and then this guy's coming in here, and then that Doctor Strange is trying to get out and then fix everything, and then you got two of them fighting each other with Spider-Man caught in the middle or something. I don't know.
You're probably right.
But
that was part of my comment script, which you just said about the whole deceptive editing. Marvel loves to do that, because that scene, as we saw it, especially with the wink where it was, that could have been all cut and clipped out of context.
Well, and I think Az and Gary were onto something earlier too. I think Az and Gary were onto something earlier too when they were talking about it, because Az pointed out so brilliantly that the outfit that, or the tuxedo or whatever you want to call it, the suit or whatever that Peter is wearing when he faces Doc Ock, and he goes, Peter. It's like, how would he know that's Peter considering it's Tom Holland? Well, here's their theory, and I think they're right, is how we're going to see the other Spider-Man in this movie is when Peter jumps to different dimensions, he's that Peter, and they see him as whichever Peter it is, like, be it,
basically it's basically like a chameleon effect. They see Tobey Maguire, but it's actually really just Tom Holland. Like,
It's Scott Bakula in Quantum Leap.
Yep.
Exactly. I think it's
Or again, it was deceptive editing.
You could be right.
I mean, Alfred Molina could be saying that to Tobey Maguire, and they just showed a clip of Tom Holland because they don't want to reveal.
I think it was Mahler who said that they could be the other two Spider-Men are with him there in that shot. We just don't see him, kind of like they did with the Civil War shot, where if you guys will remember,
Spider-Man wasn't in there.
they showed that entire walk scene with Spider-Man completely not there. Like he should have been there in the shot, but he wasn't. Exactly. Like script.
That's what I say. Marvel has that history of deception.
Yes.
So just take it right now at face value with lots of salt.
Exactly. Nelson Shreda says the Batman trailer also looked good. I was amazed. Well, there you go. So I mean, hopefully that movie is good for those who are holding out for it, and I hope this is too. I can understand the apprehension on the panel though, because I'm with them. I mean, MCU's been a tough sell the last few things.
I just know the direction that Sony wants to go with their stuff, and and it's all driven. That bus is on this side of things driven by Amy Pascal. So, I'm curious. I'm curious. Script. Have you heard? Is she working on Silk TV thing now, or is that fell apart again, or do you even know?
I haven't heard any movement on any of the Silver and Black stuff, which is like the Black Cat and Silver Sable thing. I haven't heard anything on Silk. I haven't heard anything movement on Spider-Woman.
Got snuffed with the New Deal.
Yeah,
because that's what I'm going to call it now. Anything that's post this now is the New Deal. We got to remember that.
All right. Well,
can we say instead of the New Deal, the new garbage?
Well, I know.
I hope it's not garbage, though, Mike. I really do.
It's old and busted. It's not the new hotness.
I'll tell you what, though, Mike. If after a few movies and we get into this and it's shit, we'll call it the new garbage. Okay.
Okay.
There you go.
All right. Wild Man Beyond says, off topic. Did you hear about the positive reviewed screening of Ghostbusters Afterlife? We did, and we're going to talk about that actually. So hold on to that thought, Wild Man Beyond. Dash D sends in a Canadian $10, little Canadian, they'll love their script. Says, hey, it's MEAD averse. Valiant, the Strange Renegade, Culture, Vision, Casino, Mexican Iron Man. Didn't need to give you a name, you already had one. Sorry, you're too on the nose. Script, Stark Doctor. And Tom Loki Connors. I'm Loki, huh? Now that's a movie I want to see. I can get with that.
That'd be fun.
The ladies like Loki.
I'll take
I
that
thought
role.
Valiant would be more like Captain America, and I would be more like
Paul
Doctor Strange, like Script Doctor Strange and Valiant Renegade America.
Yeah, I want to be able to float. I want to be able to float around and like shoot a laser from the middle of my head. That's freaking cool.
And then we got another one from Dash D says, hell, Tom, if you want to see more Uncle Ben, check out the Oriental Piggly Wiggly. Yeah, I know, right? Nelson Shreda also says, if NWH is theater only, could it top 1 billion? If No Way Home is theater only, could it top 1 billion? That's a good question. I think that's the question to probably end this Spider-Man discussion on and move on to Ghostbusters with. Do you guys think it could top 1 billion? Let's start with you, Valiant.
So, yeah.
It would need double the theatrical run.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be, as far as we know, right? It's going to be theatrical only. This is a Sony distribution release. They have no streaming service. There's no word, at least as of yet, that they're going to be licensing this out for a day and date release streamer anywhere that we're aware of. I don't think they would, especially if this thing builds the kind of hype that I believe it will in the next couple of months. Could it top 1 billion globally? I mean, yeah, under normal circumstances, I would say yes. The trailer, we have enough of, we're bringing in all these Spider-Mans, all these villains. We're bringing in Strange. We're fully blowing open. This is truly launching the multiverse for the MCU. Yes. Normal pretenses over 1 billion, probably without much blinking. But there's so many things out there. We don't know what December is going to look like. We don't know how much, lockdowns, restrictions, limited capacity seating. It's impossible to tell. But I would say yes, if we have theaters fully open and everybody's back out and enjoying themselves for the holiday seasons, then yeah, it will.
VR, can I reframe it then and say, what's the opening weekend on this film?
Again, it depends on how much do we have lockdowns or not. I mean,
well, that's the thing is it going to get?
I would say 48 million.
I was going to say 40 to 60.
Yeah, this thing ain't going to hit 1 billion. And
No
the
way.
reason I'm saying that is
not
because
with the way things are right now.
Yeah, well, even lockdown or no, I'm saying if it hits 50 million on the opening, the domestic opening is 50. This will not get $1 billion. It can't. It's going to have a 50. It's going
to open bigger than that unless it's
I don't think domestic. Yeah, I think
it's going to do much
it.
better than Black Widow.
Okay,
Yes.
so
of course.
give me a number. That's what I want because
for the opening weekend, domestic
Yeah.
opening.
Yeah.
Okay, domestic opening. This is opening the week before Christmas, right? Or 2 weeks?
Yeah.
When is it? December?
I think
What
it's
is
about, I think it's about 2 weeks.
The week just
15th,
before.
I
So,
think.
yeah.
School's out.
Yeah.
School's out.
10 days.
So
10 days.
all right, yeah. So I would say domestic opening weekend. I would put it somewhere around at least 100.
Okay. All right. So what's
I'm going to go on the high end. This motherfucker's going to break the record.
No.
Because it's going to have Toby and Andrew in it, and it's got
Break which
all
record,
the
though,
bad
Tom?
guys in it.
Wow.
Post-pandemic, plus possibly even for Marvel.
Well, 100 million at this point would bust the post-pandemic record.
It's going to go 120. That's my guess.
I think 120 is. Yeah, I think that's in there.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
That would be awesome. I think that'd be great. But
If it does that,
If they continue to market this with what we got last night, if they continue on this path, then yes, I
And the
think
reason
it will.
I say that is because
They're optimistic.
well, I understand culture. That's if things are still open, and that's if this movie doesn't get pushed. Because as we brought
Right.
up in the beginning, Venom got pushed. Unless Disney has some kind of say in this movie will probably get pushed too. But
It may well.
I think as long as things are open, the last film I believe opened with 129 million, if I'm not mistaken, with the previews and all that kind of shit. So considering the situation we're in, I think 120 million is a very sound amount to open to, because unless something miraculously happens and we're back to normal by December, my initial box office prediction for this would be, in a normal world, I'm willing to bet this would be a $175 to $200 million opening movie.
I think it'd be think about. I mean, again, the gravitas of this for Phase 4. Phase 4 has nothing like this so far, and I don't think they have anything like this again until the
Tobey
Doctor Strange
Maguire.
movie. Yeah, Tobey Maguire, and there's a lot of Andrew Garfield fans out there that he's rumored to have been around in this movie too. So look, you bring back
Molina.
Alfred Molina.
if they don't
back
have
as
Nicholas
Doc Ock.
Hammond, it's going to be a bust.
Willem Dafoe is supposed to be
Willem
back as
Dafoe.
Goblin. Yeah, so I mean, you've got this is approaching for Phase 4. This is approaching a Captain America Civil War kind of
Bigger.
scale for an individual character movie, and it's in the Sony brand. So again, Sony's either going to push this to when they feel comfortable opening it, but I don't think Sony's not going to turn around and drop this on streaming. I mean, and I was about to do a video on this. The Wall Street Journal put out an article this morning going into more depth on the whole piracy issue, because that's one thing that somebody like Sony right now is looking at. Disney has had their ass chewed out with piracy so far this year. It's been a joke. Jungle Cruise, Black Widow, all this. Those movies have gotten. You know what the number one most pirated movie was this past week? Fucking Snake Eyes.
Really? I'm not surprised.
Yeah, by far. Pirated, and that I don't even think that went to streaming. So I mean,
It is now. It got an early jump to streaming.
Okay, then that's what happened. The minute Snake Eyes hit streaming, it went nuts. It is the most pirated movie. So that's not going to happen with this. So people have to go to the theaters, is my point.
But
If they
that
want to see this.
But Valiant, that reinforces my point about piracy. You aren't going to pay for a film that you think is going to be below average, or even one that you're not remotely excited about. You're going to wait till that stuff becomes available in some capacity free. So I mean, we've been having that argument about piracy for a long time. That you're just demonstrating that it hasn't changed. People will see something they aren't willing to pay for some other way.
Yep.
Oh, I agree.
That's-
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it shouldn't be surprising that the trash garbage film that was, the Snake Eyes film, nobody wanted to pay for. So they saw it a different way and were equally as disappointed as they anticipated had they paid for it.
Well, there's one thing that nobody's saying.
Let's
about
go
this
down the
culture.
line. My numbers. My
Yeah, we didn't
number.
get everybody else's numbers. Good
My
point,
number
Mike.
is 75 to 85 million
Okay.
worldwide.
Script.
Oh, for the opening?
Wait, worldwide?
If we're in
Mike?
the still,
Oh, you're saying
If-
worldwide? That's low, man.
yeah,
That's
if we're
way low.
if we're still in the same conditions that we're facing now by December, statistically, I don't think it breaks 50 million domestically.
Thank you.
Ooh, and you're on the low end. All right.
If
Well,
we're, again, it's if the same conditions. If it's the same conditions. If things lift, if say by like October we're back to say 75% theater capacity, no issues, no weird, stupid partisan politics, things of that nature, no threats of another lockdown because of the upcoming flu season, then yeah, it could do more. But I don't buy that it's going to break 50 if the conditions that we have now are maintained throughout the rest of the year.
oh, if shit gets locked down, Sony will move this movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I'll tell you something that they're not advertising about this, from my remembrance at least, if I'm recalling correctly, the new deal, or the soon to be probably called new garbage deal, as Mike wants to call it. That after that deal, Disney Plus gets the Spider-Man movies, I believe, 45 or 120 days after theatrical.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
That's in part of the new deal. I think it's just the Spider-Man movies, though, not Venom and Morbius and stuff, though.
Well,
just
right,
the
yeah.
Spider-Man.
I didn't know that part.
Well,
Interesting.
that'll be interesting if that's the case.
I think it's 120 days.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. 4 months, and they probably have them for 10 months. But yeah, because that's the new deal with streaming, kids.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, when you give stuff away, you're giving it away for 10 months. Well, I mean,
so Sony has zero reason to put this out unless they're pressured by Disney, which Disney will be like, well, we got this other movie that's got to come out in between and blah, 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 blah. That'd be the only way that happens.
But they're still not going to. They're going to push it.
I wonder if we're not going to see this till next spring. I think.
Culture, what was your number again?
I haven't given
so
one.
Go ahead and do number, Culture.
Yeah. Look, I think this thing's going to do 52 to 55 million domestic open, and I think that it will fall off by the same 50% or more greater the second weekend, which means this film will not get to $1 billion. I don't know why people are thinking this is going to make that number. It's just not.
I think it will, because I think they're not going to release it in December. That's why.
Well, that's what I say. It's all conditional upon when they put it out.
Exactly. So, but if this thing comes out if it comes out as it's supposed to, 10 days before Christmas or whatever it is, this ain't doing it, kids. It's just not. And it won't do it even in the spring, I don't think. I really think that it's going to be a while before you see $1 billion film.
Well, at least
I really do.
All right, Culture. I'll concede on my part, at least, that you're probably right on the $1 billion side aspect. But I think people are underestimating this fucking movie. I think Dune should move its ass right now after seeing this trailer and the reaction to the trailer. I mean, this thing blew up the fucking internet. I mean, I've been getting bugged about this trailer, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, people have been asking me if I know anything about it for months, right? Like on a daily basis from multiple people. If there's been anything that's had any pent up want, it's been this. I would say that this is I think people are right about, like, this is going to be bigger than the Flash movie. Even though Flash has got Michael Keaton, it's like, yeah, they got Michael Keaton. They got nothing else. Right? Like, that's all they got. This movie, and I was just rambling off a few of the things they got. There's more in this stuff.
Spider-Man still has Michael Keaton. We don't know if he's going to show up.
Yeah, he could still possibly show up. You're right. And that's setting up the Sinister Six anyway. That's a whole other point, too.
That's the plan.
But I want to get these super chats real quick before we move to Ghostbusters. Dash D says, had to make Valiant shake his head at least once. Mission complete. Yes, that's not hard to do. Mecha J says, I honestly enjoyed the trailer. It's actually got me excited that no recent MCU property has been able to do in a while. I'm with you on Mecha J.
Awesome.
I'm a bit leery, but this is the one thing I've seen lately pending something from Guardians of the Galaxy that really has me kind of like excited. So definitely. Diego Flores says, what Valiant said reminded me that Netflix has the first pass on all Spider-Man movies from what I remember from Disney Plus, before Disney Plus, since it's Sony and Disney being slow. No, that was the prior deal.
That was that was just before Far From Home.
Yes.
Yeah. And here's the thing right now, Diego, is Sony and Netflix are trying to negotiate some television stuff, and there are major hurdles in the way according to the Sony side of things.
Yeah.
So just
gosh,
FYI.
I'd love to write Spider-Man for TV.
Yeah. Also the question I have is this. So you guys haven't heard that Keaton is Vulture in Morbius?
I heard something. Now you mentioned that. I do vaguely remember hearing something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, that's the thing is there's stuff even in the trailer for Morbius that kind of crosses over into Spider-Man. So I'm not sure on that. See, that's the thing is I think there is going to be a bit more crossover than we initially thought. now that the deal is a new deal.
Isn't it amazing that Keaton's on both sides of the fence?
Yeah.
He also is
Love that.
not 100% sure what's going on in that in that situation.
That's true.
I would love to see them work out a deal to where they could get Spider-Man and Venom together at some point. I've been dying for that.
This multiverse thing might be the key to that.
It might be. I hope it will. I mean, I'm a guy that owns a copy of Amazing Spider-Man 300, for God's sake.
Well, there's
Not
rumors of
gonna
like the Secret
happen.
Wars, right? So
Not gonna happen. Not gonna do it. Not gonna do it.
I know, Mike. I feel you. That's what I'm just saying. I wish they would figure out a way to make it work. I really do.
There is no. But someone clip this and let's check my predictions down the road. There's no way that's gonna happen. Now,
what's
would
sad
it be
is
a
I don't
great
hate this
idea?
Venom.
It would be a fantastic idea, but they're not gonna do it. Not gonna happen.
Naked
Mike.
Fame says, go ahead, Vulture.
No, I was just going to say, Mike, Secret Wars is on a board somewhere. I'm just saying.
Oh, it's already in the works.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Naked Fame says, anyone with an IQ over room temp would rather be a glory hole attendant at a bus stop than see schlock Disney dribbles from its dysfunctional member. Well, that was very
is vivid.
Yes.
Mhm.
That's the only word I could think of.
Thank you, Naked Fame.
Oh, shit.
And
No,
chat, y'all
I-
keep smashing that like button, guys.
A lot of
us
people are
along.
kind of within you guys in the 60 range, it looks like, in the chat, catching up with
Mhm.
the chat.
Yep.
But I think you guys are underestimating it a little bit. I think you are. Again, this all pending if things are open. I get that. That's the shitty part of this deal. And I could be wrong, but I think this movie's going to get moved, at least by a couple months.
Feels like it, because like I said,
could
they
be
have no
moved for like
backstop.
the early summer, like the March.
I think May.
March release. Yeah.
Or it could even be March. You could be right. Dash D says, I don't think that is Doctor Strange. I don't think he does either. When he's spellcasting, he has the eye amulet. This is Strange has a different one or no. And I think that kind of goes with what you were saying, Script, right? About the amulet thing. He shouldn't
Yeah,
even
his
have
time stone, the amulet, he doesn't have
Yeah.
that anymore. It's gone.
Yeah, the Eye of
Yeah.
Agamotto. Yeah,
Eye of
that wore-
Agamotto, yeah.
Nikki D says, No Way Home will probably have a global gross similar to Thor Ragnarok. You could be right, Nikki. Again, I have to agree that it may not hit that billion just because of where we're at right now. But in a normal world, this would be the movie that would probably give like Infinity War a run for its money right now. I feel like an Endgame.
Well, Infinity War did what? 2? And,
2 billion.
And then Endgame did almost 3?
If the movie's
2.75.
good, it had potential. Like that's the thing is you've got so much going for this movie that it is. I get the pent up like thing for this movie because you've got all these Spider-Man coming back, you know, with Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. You've got all these classic villains coming back. It has like this potential to be this big kind of like kickoff of this new phase, which kind of is, even though it did start with WandaVision. I think you pointed out, Script, but like. Again, this is going to extend into Doctor Strange and probably set up Secret Wars and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I think this is all kind of where it's going, and it could be good for us fans. It might turn to shit. Mike could be
Could
right.
be a Scarlet Witch thing in the background of this movie that we don't yet know about.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah,
Dash
that's
D's-
why I brought
yeah.
up Captain America Civil War real quick. I just pulled it up because I was curious because that's what this movie reminds me of. So Civil War back in 2016 finished out worldwide 1.153 billion, had a domestic opening of 180 million. So
You're insane
in a-
I love you, but you're
in a-
crazy for comparing this to that.
Well, the last Spider-Man movie made, I think, 1.3 billion.
somewhere up in there. So that's why I'm looking at it just from a standpoint of where I think fan interest would be in a normal world. That's the kind of box office I would expect to see.
Dash D says, and you all thought I was weird. Naked Fame wins. Yes, Naked Fame always wins when it comes to being weird, especially when Jesse's not around. So yeah, it looks like some people agree with me. Some think I'm on drugs, but you know what?
Hey, you know
That's why
what?
we
I will
chatted.
say
We're just
this.
having fun.
I will say this. I'm glad you're hopeful because I'll tell you what. A couple weeks ago, after that Kevin Smith thingy, you weren't sounding too good. So it's good to have my favorite Tom back.
And this has nothing to do with my personal opinion. This just has to do with the same kind of shit like I notice when it comes to other things. I just kind of pay attention to how certain people react in certain groups, the kind of things I get questions for more so than not. You know what I mean? Like those kind of things really help me kind of hey Ords, I sent you a link earlier too, by the way. He says, with the crossover, it may actually feel like a comic book movie. Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting to, too, is I'd like to get some more comic book movies that actually feel like... That's why I liked Suicide Squad. I get why some people didn't like it, but to me, it felt like a comic book movie.
Yep.
It was, and all the team members that died beautifully. So
So good.
So, and I
All
hate
the
to do this,
people
but
that died.
because I was 20 minutes late, I've got to dive out now anyway. So I'm sorry, I could only give you an hour today.
Can you
We're
just
doing
do me a favor and
Ghostbusters.
leave your hair product kit behind? Because
I've got a boogie out too, guys. I got one of the kids I've got to go pick up.
All right. Well,
golly,
looks like
Tom, next time I'm wearing deodorant. Jiminy
I
cricket.
know.
No,
It looks
just-
like we're down to the main crew now.
It wasn't
for
it-
Ghostbusters.
No, grab Ords. Ords will come in. Get Ords.
I sent him the
Yeah.
link.
All right. Anyway, I love it. Thanks, you guys. Appreciate you both. All three
Love
of
you guys.
VR.
Love you,
know,
culture.
Whatever.
Bye,
Yeah.
Valiant. Come back later.
And I don't think I missed any super
Will
chats,
do.
but if I did, let me know, guys. But I'm pretty sure I kept up with them pretty good. So,
Take care, guys.
Dash Attack just did one. So
oh, besides the newest one, yes. Says Dash Attack with $4.99. I was done with Disney. Then this came out. Didn't expect my boycott would work. Didn't expect my boycott to work for me this fast. Are you meaning? Well, this
like
is
to
Sony,
put into play, to put the
technically.
boycott into play this quickly.
Yeah, unless you're not happy with this, I guess you're gonna have to
I don't know what he
clarify. Are you doing like the whole just when I try to get out, they pull me back in kind of thing with
Godfather 3.
yeah. I'm having a heart attack. It looks good, he says. All right, well, there you go. Well, technically, it's Sony, so you can at least got that going for you. You can keep your Disney boycott technically in play. Eric Winberg says, okay, I got here late. Are the tacos gone too? Yes, I ate the rest. Sorry, I'm a pig, and I'm a fat kid, and I like tacos. But speaking of things I like, this came out of nowhere yesterday.
Mhm.
Surprise, Sony had a screening of Ghostbusters Afterlife. And shit, I bet he's busy, but we actually know somebody who saw this.
What?
Yeah, at Cinemacon. Like next year we're going to Cinemacon, guys. I'm gonna
Let's
tell
go.
Andre, like, let's fucking go. I'm
Let's
pissed
go.
we weren't there this year, man. We could have saw Ghostbusters,
Let's go.
right?
Yes, dude. How did we not?
Well, Andy Senor was there. I don't know if he's busy or
Oh.
not, but yeah, he saw it and he liked it, and a lot of other
Cool.
people liked it. I heard from a couple other people too. Same kind of thing. It's there's nothing to spoil. I haven't been told. I made sure nobody told me any spoils, so I can't spoil anything, guys. All I know
Yay.
is that I was told that it is the perfect blend of something new with the old.
Okay, but I have only one question. Is it going to be triumphant?
It is going to change the face of cinema.
Ooh.
I don't know. It didn't. Nobody said that. No, they just said it's really fucking good. They said it's really fucking good.
I'm
That's
really
what I heard.
glad to hear that because, again, this is one of the few times where actually this is the most unique situation we've ever had with an IP where the son of the guy who pretty much got it started is taking the reins and carrying it over again. Like, regardless of what other directors or writers have said about the IPs they've been the shepherds of and their dedication or loyalty towards that IP or what have you, they've all been just saying that just to appease the fans because they probably feel the fans are plebs. But we have Jason Reitman, who has been with Ghostbusters since he was 7 years old, while it was in its inception. And he's not, he's got some issues with regards to the woke culture and stuff. He's friends with Diablo Cody, who's notorious for all that type of things. But at the same time, it's like he knows what Ghostbusters means to him, to his father, to Dan Aykroyd, to Harold Ramis, to Bill Murray, to the Ghost Corps and all those fans. And he's one of the few guys who I've heard stories where he wants to do cool stuff with cinematography and story, and then he gets basically slapped across the face by his DP and producer by saying, like, maybe we should do something that people actually want to see. And he goes with that. So that's usually a really good sign, and I hope that ends up being a consistent attitude for this. And if other people who have seen it at CinemaCon had a great positive reaction, and we're not getting any flack on social media from those people about this being whatever,
I haven't
I
seen
think
one
that's a
negative
really good
reaction
sign.
yet.
Oh,
I think it's
culture.
a really
I
good
mean,
sign.
script. That would be so freaking amazing.
Because let's be
Fuck.
real, like that's the point. Okay, so for some context here, no one saw this coming at CinemaCon unless you could decipher the 3-hour block Sony reserved for its presentation. The studio surprised those who braved the mid-pandemic Las Vegas confab tonight with a screening of Jason Reitman's Ghostbusters Afterlife. Now let's be real here. Most people at this thing probably thought it was going to be Venom 2. If they were going to show any movie, right?
Yeah, you're
'Cause
probably
that's the
right.
next one up.
Yeah.
So this probably took a lot of people, and I know the people I talked to, they were completely taken off guard by this. Because, okay, full disclosure, they thought they were going to see Venom, or at least a presentation with Venom and a bunch of other stuff.
Basically, a sizzle reel for
A sizzle reel
upcoming
for all
slate,
their
yeah.
upcoming shit. Exactly. They did not expect. So this shows confidence in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
The reaction is good. That tells me the movie is probably still going to come out. Sony is not planning on moving it yet.
So Remembrance Day, November 11th. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm feeling good about this, guys. In the words of Janine, we've got one.
I hope so. I mean,
I hope so.
listen, if anyone has
I really
worries
do.
about Jason Reitman on this thing, I want you to go and look for Jason Reitman and Ivan Reitman talk about Ghostbusters. They did a public thing for Ghost Corps. They're showing lost scenes and stuff like that. You see how Jason Reitman reacts to some of the cut jokes and some of the things involved with Ghostbusters. He's in that as deep as anyone who's loved Ghostbusters, so much so that they built their own proton pack. Like, he's in it. And that's not something you can fake for him, like as much as you'd want to believe. Like, he literally calls out his dad for cutting amazing jokes out of the movie that should have been in there.
How did you not leave that in the movie?
Yeah. Yeah. Harold Ramis does a joke where it's like, Walter Peck is saying they're using nerve gas. They're stealing nerve gas and giving it to the people. And Harold Ramis says, as deadpan as he could, we'd never steal nerve gas. If we needed it, we'd make it ourselves.
Yeah.
And it's executed perfectly, and it's not in the movie. And it's such a great joke where you're like, you got to put that in the movie on like a special edition or something. Like, that's good.
I think some of those deleted scenes did wind up on the latest 4K release. But anyhow, there you go. I mentioned 4K. Yeah. Everybody drink. Dash D says, holy crap, Charlie Watts passed. Yeah, sad
Rolling
news.
Stones, yeah.
Rolling Stones drummer Charlie Watts did pass. I believe he's 80 years old, I think was what I saw. Really sad news.
He beat Keith Richards, and everybody was betting on him for a long time.
Right?
Yeah.
No kidding, right? So, yeah, I was going to bring that up at the end of the show, but yeah, so... sad news out of the music world. We also lost one of the Everly brothers earlier this week too. So
yeah,
sad to hear.
Excuse me. Sorry.
Bless you.
I will preface this though: if this movie does get released and it gets a negative reception, it would be the most ultimate betrayal of that franchise. It would dwarf 2016 if it was a terrible movie. I don't think it will, but the context would be there. It's like the son literally just screwed his dad's legacy.
I don't think that's. I clearly, even if this movie just turns out to be, it's all right, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like I clearly don't think that's the case because I think Jason and I think Ivan and Dan specifically feel burnt by what happened with the 2016 movie. Dan has made no qualms about it. Like he's let it well be known that he's not happy with what happened.
He does little digs every once in a while here.
Oh yes. When he sits there and says that basically Paul Feig is not going to be allowed back on the Sony lot.
And that's been true, actually.
And I think he meant Amy Pascal, too, at the same time, probably. Who knows? Edgy number 1 says, yep, Sony's got my money for this one. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Speaking of trailers, I mean, I know some people were dumping on this trailer, but the trailer for this was the first trailer in a while that I really kind of got that classic feel for. You know what I mean? Like, I mean... just something about it just really kind of like, okay, this feels right. Even if like the kid thing kind of is a little bit, but it's his grandkids. So, I mean, how else are you supposed to do this? Right. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm glad that the response is positive. It's 8 or 11 weeks away. Jealous of those people at CinemaCon, but hey, that's bonus for them.
I'm very jealous. Go ahead.
This thing happened. Two comments. One is that this thing happens and it goes off well. That is the greatest cinematic turn that could be conceived of, let alone will happen. I mean, seriously, to go from that to this, if it's well received, whoa. And then number 2, yeah, we're talking 100 and we're going to the next one of these.
Right? No shit.
Yeah, we are
Dash T-
absolutely road trip going, and we're going with
Tues-
t-shirts and sweatshirts, and we're gonna podcast from there.
You
Right?
want to wear sweatshirts in
Imagine we
Vegas?
could have gone and done a reaction like from the hotel room or something, man.
Wait, is Cinemacon in Vegas? Why am I not there? No, it is in Vegas. It says it right in front of my
Yeah, it's in Vegas. You don't want to wear a sweatshirt
Lord
in
Almighty,
Vegas.
I could have been there for 2 fucking weeks. That'd have been amazing. Fuck going for Star Trek. I don't went for this. Dash D's, this is way too soon though, buddy. Says you think Keith knocked him off? No, too soon, buddy.
No.
Too soon. As funny as that
Keith is wondering how he's going to get his stash now.
Keith is probably wondering if he's really still alive. He's like, yeah, am I still alive? I can't tell. No, I'm really kind of jazzed about this. God damn it, I should be in Vegas right now. Son of a bitch.
And here you are with Mike and Script.
Yeah.
Wow, feel the fire, bro.
He's stuck in middle America right now. That's what he's upset with.
Boy, you're like, oh yeah, that's great. And he's like,
Well, you guys would be there, of course. You know, it's true. James Gunn has slowly turned into an old lesbian.
No.
Look at him.
Well, I mean, he lost the color to his hair after he was fired from Marvel Studios.
Yeah, he just keeps turning into an
He
old
went
lesbian.
really white really fast.
Willie Woodward says, don't you have to have an invite for Cinemacon? I don't think so.
Cinemacon, you can get a press pass pretty easily.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I'm sure we can
I'm
get in
sure
there.
it's not like
I'm-
open to the public, but
yeah, I'm sure we could get in there.
I'm sure we could work that out. Hell, Matt probably could have worked that one out. Kadish.
Yeah.
I'm surprised those guys aren't there. They probably burnt out from last week. So yeah, that's exciting news. I'm kind of glad that we got to hear that. It came out of nowhere yesterday, but
Well, here's the thing that's even more exciting. If there was a screening and it was awful in some way, either the ways like Script was talking about, we would know already somehow. It would have been released. So this is very hopeful. This is very, very hopeful. And that's a good thing. We need some hope around here. We need some things to start going right.
it'd be nice. And I think that I know some people are worried about the whole Stranger Things meets Ghostbusters thing, and that's a valid.
Sure.
That might just be a tonal thing, but not necessarily a direct, right? We don't know yet.
No, I don't know. I hope this is good. I hope what everybody's saying is good news.
Yeah, I want this to hit me in the feels. I want this movie to be that good, where I'm misty-eyed for all the right reasons.
Exactly. I think it's going to be everything we were hoping that the other films would be, sans, Harold Ramis, but I feel like he's going to be such a big part of the story that we're going to forgive that. At least most fans will. So,
well, based on the trailer, it seems like his last hurrah is saving the world once again, even after he's passed away. So,
Nothing wrong with that.
no.
32 flavors of Nick Weiser in the chat. How you doing, buddy? Says, I agree with this movie to give me all the emotions. Yes, and Stephanie Janicek agrees as well. So yeah, I'm hopeful for this movie. Other than that, was there anything big in the news going on this week? It was kind of those were the big kind of like, whoa, stuff happening. Outside of, ScarJo a little bit more, but we talked about that the other day.
Oh yeah, these guys went great on the Toxic Femme.
Yeah, and that too. Last night we talked about that too. Deranged Lunatic. I'm assuming that's a pooper sticker.
You
Only
are
two people
correct.
send me pooper stickers. The Deranged Lunatic and Christy. And you're not Christy. That's right. They did see the film, says Andrew Hamrick's like, and that's why I was saying we know Andy, and he saw it and he said it was good. I didn't talk to him, although actually that's no, but the few people that did kind of say something to me said, yeah, it was really, really good. They were
Are you gonna
surprised.
Are you gonna go see Free Guy?
I'd like to. I don't think it's playing down in my local though. They got the Paw Patrol and
What?
they had Suicide Squad, but I can't remember what else was coming out that I don't know if they got Free Guy yet or not. But if they get it, I might go see it. Dash D says, possibly the biggest event ever in Hollywood. Brittany gets her dogs back. Okay.
Okay. What
Hit
the
me,
hell?
baby, one more time.
Can I just say I love this chat stream? I love everybody that shows up. We get the best super chats and the best comments ever.
And what did Six do now? She don't have to relax unless she's all upset. Then
Now what did you do, Tom?
don't think I did anything. I think Dragon Master did.
Uh-oh.
I don't know. I didn't keep up. Leave
Yeah,
Brittany alone.
sorry about everybody in the chat. Sorry, I don't have my second monitor. So anybody who's talking at me, normally I talk to all you guys. I apologize because I don't have my second monitor working. I dropped it off the desk today, and so I can't see the chat stream as well as the show. So my bad. But next time.
Yeah, we got to see about getting into Cinemacon. That'd be awesome.
Dude, we have to go. We're gonna find out when it is, and we're putting that on the books for next year.
Well, we kind of know now. I mean, it's next year, probably same time.
Yeah.
Same bat channel.
Like, that's just something that's so up your wheelhouse, bro. You got to go.
I can't believe we didn't. Like, hell yeah. Anyhow, what else was going on? I didn't see.
Wait a minute. If it's in Vegas, then you know what, Tom? Well, you're right. We can't wear sweatshirts. We got to have sexy, like man tank tops and man thongs for the heat. Oh, no, we can't wear that. No. What am I thinking? Good God, no.
But anyhow, what else was going on? There was like, other than Spider-Man, which kind of
I don't know. I saw Free Guy. You want to report on that?
Oh, that's right. You were going to tell us what you thought about Free Guy. But first, Technical Chat says, new topic. Can Script Doctor talk about Back to the Future script and how well it's put together? Honestly, that's a video you should make.
Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, I got the first 3 drafts that are available, and I actually
let's talk about that. How does it look?
How
How does it look? Ooh.
What, the original Back to the Future scripts?
Oh, I thought it was a new one.
No, there's no new Back to the Future. There'll never be another Back to the Future. Bob
what I
Gale
thought.
will fights tooth and nail to make sure that's the case, and Robert Zemeckis is right alongside him.
Yeah, I thought it was an over my dead body kind of thing, right?
Pretty much.
Well, funnily enough, the first film is used, I believe, in writing classes as setup and payoff, and
It's one of the most tight films in final form to actually be there. Yeah, and the other part too is only recently, like when I was teaching, I would teach Back to the Future. We would actually not watch the movie until the very end. We'd actually do the first draft, we'd do the second draft, and then we'd see the third draft, and then we calculate, why are these choices made? What do they serve? How do they reflect with the characters, the actions, behavior? What's going on with Marty? Who's really the main character in this story? Is George as prominent as he is in this version versus that version? And what's all going on? What was cut out? What was left in? Why was that the case? All that type of stuff is a great unit. It's like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And everyone at the end of it, like the reward is you watch Back to the Future, you understand the beats and payoffs, and then you just say, okay, can this structure be applied to other films? And by the structure, I'm talking about all the character motivations, all the goals, understanding how to achieve them, and all the conflicts that derive from when those goals don't align. Which
I think
is,
I
really,
think a good
really
class
good
would
study.
be to compare the original version compared to what we got. Because doing that script read, like I said, it was really kind of cool how, even though it was so different in a lot of ways, it was still pretty tight in that earlier version. And what little still carried over was just kind of astounding at what they wound up with. But it was so different yet the same at the same time.
Well, yeah, like in they kept the scene where George hits the punching bag with his left and realizes he's got a really strong left hook. That was in the final version that they just cut for time.
Yeah,
because they didn't want to telegraph that George could actually beat Biff. That's why they cut it out. What else? Oh, they cut out a good gag, but I think they cut this out because they cut out two parts of the gag. The first part was that Biff has a daughter around Marty's age or a little bit older. They cut that out. And then they have another gag where a dad and his daughter are selling Girl Scout like toffee or something, or peanut brittle. And that's what George McFly's eating when he is watching the rerun of The Honeymooners. And that's what Marty eats the first thing when he gets up out of bed after Doc Brown calls him to meet at Twin Pines Mall. He's eating that peanut brittle because his dad was bought $50 worth because he
I remember that.
pushover.
I think that's in the novel too, from my recollection.
It probably is in the
Something like
novel.
that.
as well,
Yeah, because I remember that aspect. Technical Jet says, we already got that one. So yeah, there you go. I'm sure you should do a video on that one someday, Script. Nikki D
I
says,
could probably do a 5 to 6 hour study on Back to the Future.
That'd be awesome. The study. Nikki D says, "How will Sony and Marvel react if No Way Home underperforms?"
Ooh. Eesh.
That's unpredictable at this point.
Sony, I don't know if they'll do much.
Sony will do everything they can to never lose their rights to Spider-Man.
Like I said, yeah, like they'll just roll with the punches at this point. I mean, they know it's almost like the best. That's why I think Rothman pushed so much for this, because he knows. I mean, it makes sense. Like, they can go on their own and chance it, but they've had less success on their own than without Marvel's and Kevin Feige's help. So it's a real tough call, because you got to remember that Kevin Feige was also working around those guys back in the day with, Spider-Man and X-Men and all that shit too. So like he's been around.
He was under Lauren Schuler Donner for the Fox stuff, and then he hopped over. He had to deal with Avi Arad over on Sony's.
And that was a point I was going to bring up earlier, guys, too. I forgot, was that Avi Arad was the reason Robert Downey Jr. was in the Homecoming movie, because I can't remember the character it was meant to be, but he insisted that it be Iron Man.
Yep.
So it wasn't even Kevin Feige's call. Nikki D says, "How will?" Okay, so that I keep reading the same ones. I don't know how they're going to react. Marvel, on the other hand, they'll probably act more desperately than they already have. I think it all depends on. I mean, this movie is important. It's one of the only ones that really can't fail. It's too big to fail, kind of thing. But I could be wrong. It could fall flat on its face. We'll see. We'll see who wins the bets. We'll try and mark this one and remember our predictions and see how it works out. Dash D says, "Sly's movie Samaritan is getting good kudos at Cinemacon time." Oh, cool. I remember hearing about that. I haven't seen a trailer yet for it, but hopefully it's pretty good. That'd be cool for him if it's a good movie. I like Sylvester Stallone. Willie Woodward says, "What will happen tomorrow?" Oh,
Nothing.
There you go. Focus.
No, this is a different one.
No.
It's a slightly different one, but
What do they do if it is the only hit? Well, comparatively to Black Widow and Eternals, and I think they're already prepared for that mess.
Yeah, because this is basically them saying, like, this will be our third film. Well, no, wait. Eternals comes before Spider-Man, right?
Eternals and Shang-Chi come before
Okay.
Spider-Man.
So this would be the one that'd be at bat for, like, your third striker out type of situation. And they're basically betting that there's no way that's going to happen, and they're probably right. Even if they have two flops with
This is
Shang-Chi.
as close as they can get to a sure thing right now.
Yeah. And I doubt they're going to strike out with Doctor Strange. A lot of people still really enjoyed that movie. They like the character. Benedict Cumberbatch is still a draw. So
having him in Spider-Man's going to help.
Yep.
So
And the
I
other part
think
too, you also
it's a
got
win-win
Elizabeth
on that
Olsen
part.
in that as well, and Sam Raimi directing that Doctor Strange film. So it's.
I think Spider-Man's supposed to be in that too, from what I remember hearing. Because that's what I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, if the movie does well, it's going to be a Spider-Man extravaganza, probably.
Well, from what I've been thinking is, like, I'm not so sure how much Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are going to show up in this one so much as Doctor Strange because of Sam Raimi. But anyhow, I think that's how they got Tobey Maguire on board, was Sam Raimi. Because that's what I said to Andre way back when. Like, you don't bring Sam Raimi in just to direct the fucking Doctor Strange 2.
Yeah. You bring in all of his friends as well.
Exactly. There's more to this than just him directing a Doctor Strange movie. That just don't make no sense. Xenobit says, "How will Sony react if Sony underperforms?"
Well,
Sony's performing quite well, actually.
Yeah, they're doing good. In fact, they could be quite a competitor in the next 2 or 3 years.
Between Ghostbusters and Spider-Man by the end of the year, they might come out on top for the first time in God knows how many years. Probably since Spider-Man 3, the year of Spider-Man 3, probably.
Yeah, you're right.
It'll be over 20 years almost. So, yeah, we'll see. It's interesting. It'll be interesting.
I mean, they can't sell a PlayStation in Japan right now, but other than that.
Well, that's because of the whole chip shortage shit, ain't it?
And it's also a separate division too, as well. Like it's
yeah, that's where we've said if Sony does anything, they'll sell off the entertainment side of things, and they'll definitely never sell off the electronics side. Of things.
They might be able to sell Sony back to Coca-Cola.
That might happen.
That might happen. Yeah, I know.
If anything, I bet you $5 Netflix buys Sony.
Oh, I could see them going after that for sure.
Because of the television side of things, too. Dash D says, LO Eternal Whiner Barry wants his putts got beat up in a pub. Oh, you're talking about Ezra Miller.
Oh, I thought he had a stroke.
I was thinking that for a minute. Maybe he's drinking a little too much. Now I'm broke. You're on your own. Well, you're broke in two different ways, I think.
Low Eternal Wiener Barry Watts. His putts got beat up in a pub in Ireland.
Yeah, I think he's talking about Ezra Miller getting beat up in Ireland. Remember?
I thought it was Iceland.
About it? Was it Iceland? I think it was.
That was Iceland. Yeah.
Right.
That's why me and Nina have that running joke. You want to fight? You want to fight?
Which I think I actually removed that video finally from the thing here. I used to have it in here. I think I removed it. I hadn't used it in a while, so I'm like, it's got to go. I need room because I filled it up. Too many He-Man cartoons. That's what I was thinking, Naked Fame. But hopefully you're all right. You didn't break yourself. So with that, Mike, you got to see Free Guy, and so did Script. What did you guys think? Let's start with you, Mike.
I enjoyed the Suicide Squad much more overall. Free Guy was enjoyable. I think Ryan Reynolds was probably the only guy that I cannot think of who else could have pulled off that performance. I'm glad I went. Wasn't bad. I'm not going to say it made me, I laughed more in the Suicide Squad, and there was certainly a lot more action. To get into this movie, the premise is fantastic. It's a fantastic premise. I think Script said the other day that he read the script and he was really excited by it. And I think there's different things where it could have been well executed. There's a few jabs at wokey stuff, and then there was a few nods to wokey stuff. But the movie seemed to blow right by those. And then there's a ton of pop culture references left and right, from video games to other movies to
Twitch streamers.
It is a pop culture extravaganza, and so that kept me going through it because video gaming, streaming, YouTube. There's just so many references. So I recommend it. If I got 5 stars, I'm going to give it 3.5 to 4 ish, 3.75, 3.8 type of thing.
Dash Dees is saying he acted in Eternals. Are you talking about Ezra Miller? I don't think that's him. Unless I'm completely misunderstanding. But for Script, you also saw it. What did you think?
Yeah. For me, it was a disappointment because they clearly rewrote a lot of the best parts to fit in with the current day politics, current era stuff.
The wokey woke, right?
A little bit of that. Like, here's the other part. Like, when I was reading the script, there was no partner with the girl, like no weird soy boy guy.
Yeah,
she was actually dating the head of the company, and they broke up, and that was their own thing.
That would have been a better.
No other love interest there. The setup to the film itself, you didn't realize that the main character of Guy was in a video game until about 15 minutes in. That was your turn and twist and surprise. There were some little hints that there was there because, like, he gets up, he does an exercise routine, which is the Atari code, the up, up, down, down, left, right, jump, jump, punch type of thing. I think the narrative restructuring of the film just kind of ruined all the things that made it really interesting and fun. I was over the climax of, like, the fate of the video game world was at stake and all that stuff. But Yeah, I groaned a lot through this thing, especially like the Chris Evans cameo for like that 5 second, or not even 5 seconds, 2 seconds.
Oh yeah, that was cheap shot. That was just such
And all the other stuff that was going on in there. It was basically like, oh, this movie that was made by Fox, we now have access to Disney properties, so let's wedge a couple of those things in there now on a rewrite.
Yeah, when I said pop culture references, I was talking more of the gaming stuff. But yeah, you're right. All those things were a little bit cringy, you know?
And the other part too, which I thought was kind of funny in the script, is that if your character died, you restarted at level 1 and you had to work your way back up again.
That never
And
happened.
also, he didn't steal the sunglasses off the character. He just found them by accident.
Well, there you go. Well, I guess it is playing at my local theater starting this weekend. Jungle Cruise was the movie that was playing last week and I couldn't think of.
It's a hiccupy ride for sure. I got to tell you,
I might.
I got to a point. I stayed, but I almost walked out of the movie when it got a little cringy because I'm just so my meter's so high and sensitive.
Well, now you're making me think I shouldn't go.
Well, here's the one thing that's actually works for this movie is that the chick, when she's fighting and kicking the butts of all the guys, she's a computer avatar, so it makes sense that she's really good, and she's got such a high level. So it's like, oh, it's not a stupid aspect of it. It's within the rules of the game, and she doesn't do anything like that in the real world, which is even better.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. She's vulnerable and she's a real person.
Yes, and she's got flaws and whatnot, but they added in other human characters that I felt really just took away from the fun of the actual movie from the script.
I'd rather go see if I had to go back to the theater to see a movie a second time. I'm willing to go see the Suicide Squad again in the theater, but I'm not willing to go see this thing again.
Well, and see, this thing is going to be on streaming in 45 days, so I'm almost like,
or less, actually. Yeah.
I think less. Yeah, now.
Just wait for it. Don't go.
Then you go.
If you, I know you. If you go and I told you to go, well, Mike, you like it. You're going to come back here and you're just going to rain on me, and that's not. I know you.
Well,
it's not. You're going to find so many problems. Okay, Tom, because you're like Script, right? Script read the script before Script went to the movie. Oh my God, how do I say that 5 times fast? You're going to sit there and you're going to see all these flaws, and they're going to really gnaw at you.
See, because here's the thing, is if it was like a property that I already knew, it might be different. See, now I'm a little bit more forgiving of certain things if it's an original idea. Does that make sense?
Yeah, this is an original idea, and it's
like
a really
the
clever
wokey
one.
stuff. Like I might even overlook a little bit more in a more original film because it's like, okay, well, it's not something they're ruining anyway, right? Like,
yep, no, you're absolutely right on that context. I mean, this movie could have been bigger and definitely more enjoyable if it didn't have those things in it and didn't have that obvious Disney properties re-injected into it and just stuck to what it was doing. But no, I think what ended up happening is some of the creatives in the rewrite process got cold feet, didn't have the confidence in the stuff that they put in, and decided, okay, we're just going to go the safe route. We're going to give people what they want in the most unique and interesting ways, and mix it up with a little bit of Ready Player One, and yeah.
If you actually get some time between work here, a video for you to do should be the differences between Mortal Kombat and its script and a Free Guy and its script.
Oh yeah, I've got a script to scene series I want to do one day.
Yeah, because like the points you make with those, because like I know Mortal Kombat would have been a much better movie, and you already make it sound like Free Guy would be a much better movie without seeing it. So,
the first two things he mentioned, having just seen the movie, make like all of a sudden I went click in my head, like, oh my God, that makes complete sense. That makes complete sense. Because, well, I mean, look, there's one love story, then there's another one, and then it's weird and it's clicky click, and it's very awkward. It's awkward.
It is very awkward, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Xenobit asks, have we seen the film 1990? The 1990 film Crazy People? Yes, I've seen it, but it's been 30 years.
Riser's in that, right?
Yes.
Ah.
So is Dudley Moore. I vaguely remember seeing it on cable as a kid. Mike, do you remember it at all?
Good God, no. When was that? When did that come out?
1990.
No,
I think it was one of Dudley Moore's latter films because then he got sick not too long after that.
No.
It has to have come up after Arthur 2, right?
Yeah. 87, I think, was Arthur 2 or 88, something like that.
No, no.
He didn't make too many after that, I don't think, though. That was one of his last big ones that I remember.
Drawing a blank, buddy.
I remember it. It'd be one I could see Kino putting out on Blu-ray. they haven't already. The Richard is hanging out here. Love you guys. Hope you like all the happy joy we've been bringing up. Remote. I saw you guys talking for a little bit earlier. It's like, it'd be nice if I was on that conversation to bring a little different point of view, but hey, he says, I totally get the hate as well. Love to talk. Yeah, we may have to have you on sometime. I haven't finished watching. I didn't get to watch too much of what you were saying earlier, but I checked in for a few minutes as I was bouncing around a little bit.
I watched the whole show. I watched almost the whole show.
Well, how'd it go?
Well, I mean, look, obviously how Mexican Iron Man feels about He-Man, the original, and then He-Man, the most recent Netflix, is well documented, established all over the internet. What I'm going to tell you is that the three of them are doing a great job on their show on R&B's network. And if there are positives to be had,
Awesome.
sure as hell, if there are nooks and crannies of positives to be had, they are doing an excellent job of nailing those positives in a very in a nice, good way, in an intelligent way. So yeah, so shouts out, kudos. And that's me talking, and we know how I am. I talk unbelievably. Mexican Iron Man can be a little bit ranting, a little emotional. I know.
No.
Shocking. Yeah, shocking news, right?
No. You lie. Exactly. Mind blown. Xenobit says it would be ironic if Sony's film division started turning a profit now when PlayStation is failing. Interesting point of view. I don't know how bad PlayStation is failing per se. I think a lot of it has to do with just because honestly, I think if they had the chips and got the PS5 out there, people would be buying the shit out of it.
Like, dude, I got one.
I don't. My kid went and spent way too goddamn much on one.
Oh no! How much did he pay? Did he overpay
or something like that?
Oh fuck!
I was pissed. He got a few things with it, but I'm like, still, like once this chip shortage goes away, like they're gonna be everywhere.
Yep.
For half the price.
Yeah, as I said, told him watch by Black Friday.
And I mean that's the other thing too. There aren't that many. I mean, sure, it's backwards compliant, but there aren't that many like new badass games. It's not like there's a whole amazing new library.
Thing. I was like, why are you in such a big hurry yet? Like nothing's out on it yet. Like
how far backwards compliant is it? Does it go back to PS1 games?
I have no idea.
If it doesn't,
PS3 games. That's all I know.
Yeah, I know that, but I have no idea. So I'm an Xbox guy. I'm a recent entry to the Sony PlayStation universe. So
I used to be a Sony guy, and then I got an Xbox One just for 4K player, and I haven't really played it, so I can't call myself an Xbox.
What? Let's go online.
Like
I'll put all kinds of games with you on Xbox. We'll live stream
played Cobra Kai. That's about it.
That's the only thing you played on that Xbox One?
Technically, yes. I bought.
Oh my god! What is? How have I been on the show all this time? We got to go live stream. We'll go live stream. You do karaoke with Paulie. You can do gaming with me.
I will try, but I'll tell you this.
Are you into first-person shooters? You like Call of Duty?
No.
Tom is not a gamer.
I'm not much of a game. Like if you've watched me play Cobra Kai, it's excruciating.
Well,
it's quite entertaining because you get so close and then you're
watching him go. You're like, go left. No, the other left.
No.
Okay, no, the other left.
This way.
you're like the door's closed. That one doesn't open. Go up.
I don't get how the belts and the geese work.
I'm like watching your dad try to play a video game.
Yeah, but it's fun because you're all exploring yourself. Oh, I wonder what happens if I go over here. Like, well, there's a little arrow that says go the other way, but let's go.
Exactly, that's me. It's like I know the arrow wants me to go that way, but I don't want to go that way.
You're like, I don't want to go that way. I want to go this way. I'm like, okay, there he goes.
And well, here's my other problem, and I love like how cool some of the new games are, but my vision is kind of fucked. So like, unless something is really defined, like I have a hard time seeing a lot of the games the way they're set up. Like it's really difficult for me to sometimes even see where the floor is I'm supposed to walk as opposed to the wall as to where I'm supposed to turn. So like it really got bad during that 3D era when it first kicked in, when, there was a lot of first person shit like Doom and all that kind of, like when you get into like I hated that kind of stuff because I can never see that kind of stuff. Like I have to, if you come over
so you're
to my
not
house,
a boomer shooter, you don't like the fast.
Here's the thing, okay, if you come over to my house you'll be like, why is the bright on your TV turned up so and contrast up so high? It's because my eyes suck. So like yeah, so like I have to crank everything up just so I can see it. It's just it sucks. So like I'm not a good gamer because of that. But now if you give me something like Donkey Kong or Pac-Man in a few hours, I'll be all right.
Well, that's what Dark Scipio saying in the chat. He says Donkey Kong, right?
I said if it has a Super Mario, a Pack, or a donkey in the title, I'm usually pretty good.
I mean,
I
you know what I did is I connected my Xbox to my to a bigger monitor.
Yeah, well, that's why I love
know what I
my
mean?
big TV.
Here, look behind me real now. I'm gonna turn on my camera real quick. Look. Hold on, wait. Where's it? Hold on. Can you see that? Can you see that monitor right there?
See, I kind of wanted a TV
It's like a
like that.
skateboard.
Yeah, no, it's 48 inches on that back wall, and I got my gaming PC. I don't know if I'm pointing this right. I got my gaming PC, my Xbox, and my Sony PlayStation. They all go to that sucker. Yep.
It's an extreme widescreen.
Oh yeah, it is awesome.
Well,
What is that,
honestly, I think that's
48
what
by what,
widescreen
18?
TVs should be. Because
I don't know.
you know what sucks is most movies are in 241 or whatever, or 2351, and that's basically what that screen is.
Yep.
So in most cases, you're better off having a screen that big, so you have less black bars on your screen more often. Because now the way things are, you still have more black bars than not.
Wait, so I should have a 4K player up here too in this room?
No. I'm just saying they should make more TVs. I was kind of pissed because they were kind of starting to, and then they quit. They just make monitors that way now. I mean, you could probably use it for a TV, but they don't make big screen ones like that.
No, I like no.
It's just because most movies are shot in a more wide screen.
You know, the black bars don't bother me anymore, Tom. They don't.
Yeah.
Do they bother you? They don't bother me.
Honestly, they bother me more now that I have a widescreen TV than when I had a 4x3. For some weird reason, I had a love for watching the movie in letterbox on TV for some reason, but then when we switched to the widescreen TV, which I was fine with, something's in 185, which is basically like 16 by 9. But once, for some reason, movies that are shot in 235 or scope or whatever don't seem as big as they used to. Some about it I think it would feel more epic if I had a wider screen like you got. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
I have a really dumb question to ask you. Am I dreaming, or when I play the 4K version instead of another version, why does my 4K audio sound better? Or does it? Or am I imagining it?
Your 4K, if you play another version and not your 4K version?
Yeah, versus when I stream it.
Might be how your sound is set up.
Okay, because I just watched The Accountant in 4K. I know who buys that. I do, because I'm an accountant. And versus the streaming version, and the 4K version sounds amazing.
Oh, that's just because they got better soundtracks on the 4K. It's uncompressed. I thought you were asking the other way. I thought you were saying it's the other way around. Okay, no, that makes complete sense.
Oh, it does.
That's because on streaming is usually just in like 5.1 in like MP3 format, basically. So it's like, if you're lucky, 128 to 320 kilobytes a second, as opposed to on like a disc, you're getting full uncompressed audio. So it's much.
It was like so noticeable. It was like, whoom.
Like that, or even if it has like a Dolby Atmos track or whatever on it and stuff like that. Yeah. DTS maybe. Because DTS doesn't go through streaming because it's a digital.
I don't know why. I don't know why you haven't got me on this 4K kick a long time ago. I'm on it now. I'm hooked.
Well, I just like it because it actually shows film the way it should look. Standard Blu-ray's close. Don't get me wrong, but it still had a little ways to go, and 4K kind of got us there. So. I mean, I'm sure it could get a little better with 6 or 8K, but we don't need it. It's unnecessary.
Good God, no, dude. No, I'm not rebuying all this equipment again.
No, you will. I went. So 10 years, you're rebuying everything.
What?
In 10 years, you'll probably have to rebuy everything.
Honestly, at this point, script, unless they come up with... You'd have to come up with a new form of something because... I mean, I know that there is an argument to be made that movies could still look a little bit better, probably, because they do master a lot of these movies now in 6 or 8K and then down convert them to 4K. But, I mean, we've gotten to that point where I don't know if they could really make them look much better than us even notice. You know what I mean? Like, it's our eyes can't get much better than that.
Well, even with the 4K, the average human eye won't be able to tell the difference between a 4K and a Blu-ray.
Exactly. A big part of it is depending on your size of your screen, how close you're sitting. The HDR makes a bigger difference than the actual. Yeah, because like I've seen good 2K down converts from 4Ks, like on when they remaster a film in 4K and they just put it on a regular Blu-ray. I've seen great masters on those. Don't get me wrong, but hell, I'll even argue that my 2K copy of RoboCop from the 4K master looks better on the Blu-ray in 2K than the 4K streaming version I got on Vudu, but that doesn't have HDR on it either. But it's all digitized on that end, and it's uncompressed on the Blu-ray, so it doesn't have a lot of the artifacting that the digital version does, and the sound is
Well, yeah,
infinitely better.
what they're going to probably have is like an uncompressed 6K or 8K version, where it's just it's basically what you're getting as an actual film.
Exactly, yeah. I know I'm getting all fucking technical and losing the audience. Anyway, Nicholas Horton says Sony will also profit from anime, seeing that they're the main rights holder for anime outside of Japan, Funimation, Crunchyroll, Aniplex, Viz Media, etc. Oh yeah, Sony's always made sure that if there's anything Japanese coming into the American market, they got something to do with it. They've tried anyway. But yeah, I'm sure they're doing just fine with the anime side of things. I'm not really into the anime. Mike, are you into it at all?
Heck no, I'm trying to. Like I said last one of the previous shows, I'm working through a list of stuff I'm supposed to watch, and yeah, I'm working on it. I've seen a couple titles, and I'm not. I'm gonna give it about 5 or 6 more of these, but so far not so good.
And Mexican Iron Man Ords Boards wants to play some gaming with you. There you go.
He's gonna kill me. I've watched him on the streams. He's gonna slaughter me. Oh my god, I've watched you, bro. Ords
is not the best at games. He's good, but he's not the best. He's there to have fun. You should be fine.
Yeah, but
Script is the ruthless one.
hold on. I gotta think of a reason why I suck. I'm Mexican. No, that's not a good one.
You're an accountant.
I'm older than Cinco de Mayo, Ords. You're gonna beat up a senior citizen.
DCB Titan, how you doing, buddy? Ain't seen you in a little while. Says, so what you're saying is someone needs to make Donkey Punch Simulator. No comment.
No.
That's the Leisure Suit Larry game.
That right there is a game of questionable repute, if you know what I mean. There's some questionable activities that happen in that game that makes an Iron Man, as a South Carolina gentleman, isn't sure if he can endorse or not.
Go clutch your pearls. Xenobit says, I said, go clutch your pearls.
Okay.
Xenobit says, can we get a 3D release of Titanic so I can watch? You know what? There is a 3D release of Titanic. I own it. Cameron already did it in 3D. He did.
You own that? Really?
Yeah. I haven't opened it yet because I hate the fucking movie. But I got it dirt cheap.
That's why I'm hesitating here. I'm like,
I got it dirt cheap. No. I only got it because
why would you buy something if you're never going to watch it?
Because it was 3D.
Oh my god.
Well, and they discontinued a lot of 3D titles, so I pick them up whenever I see them.
Okay.
I even own the Ninja Turtle movies that I hate because they were in 3D and on clearance.
Okay.
I got them for like $7 a piece.
Okay.
That's not bad, dude, for a 3D movie. Well, considering they used to be like $30-$40 to get a 3D title, hell yeah. Because that's what pissed me off is 4K movies came out and they were at a cheaper price point. I'm like, you dirty motherfuckers. Yeah. And Warner Brothers is like the only one besides boutique companies that do any 3D releases anymore. But yeah, if you get lucky, you can find it in 3D. Yeah, there you go. Diego says Mexican Iron Man says Southern gentleman tries to get an RV to pick up NASCAR.
What? Wait, what did he say? Mexican Iron Man?
He's
what?
Not wrong.
Tries to get an RV to pick up NASCAR. Hey!
RVs and home campers are pretty cool.
You were trying to get some pointers.
That was from 2 weeks ago.
So it still counts.
Yeah, and good news is that Mexican Iron Man, now being in South Carolina, is in the process of choosing which is going to be his favorite NASCAR. It's number. So Tom, what I need is I'm going to have to get, the way it goes is you got to, when you get your RV, you got to have a flag of which car you're rooting for. It needs to be in the color of the car, and then if you got to endorse the products that are represented on the car, and then the VIP, and you go to, well, let's just say Mexican Iron Man may or may not have been to many strip clubs in his life, and they have the VIP area. Well, you have that in NASCAR, and that's that center area inside. So I got to get on the green, and I need a nice little RV, So yeah. I'm telling you, man. I is embracing the Southern culture. Mm-hmm.
You keep telling yourself that, and yeah, Richard, it'd be fun to talk some Motu sometime. Like I said, I was like, shit, I wish I was in on this convo.
Oh, the Richard's here. Hey, man, how's it going?
No, you didn't notice he talked to us earlier. He sent us a super chat.
Oh,
probably when you went to take a piss. I've been telling you got to get a pee bucket.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. See, that stuff never happens on the morning show. That right there. That no.
And Lindsay's still waiting for the taco truck. What's the deal?
Well, hell, Lindsay, a brown man can only do so much. I got an RV I got to buy here. I got a taco truck I got to manage there. I got my Chevy and Paula on the block, cinder blocks over here, yip yonder.
And see, this might explain a thing or two and a difference in our taste. Richard says he loves Titanic.
Well, he starts it when the ship, capsizes.
Oh, I was just going to say, but we found some common ground here. We both love 3D, and if I was to watch Titanic, that's probably what I would do, is just watch it from the second half forward. So there you go. Because I've not seen that movie since it came out. I felt like I wasted 4 hours of my life, and I'd never do that again, I said. But then I saw it in 3D, and I'm like, $7, fuck it. Someday I'm sure I'll have to watch it for something. Nikki D says, any updates on ScarJo Disney lawsuit thing? Well, basically what we talked about on Monday morning, and if you didn't catch it real quick, the short version is Disney's pushing hard for arbitration. ScarJo may have done a few things to try and avoid that, but I don't think she's going to be able to. Some people are positing that the reason why she avoided putting Marvel in the case was so she could avoid arbitration, which I think that's a possibility. But other than that, I think it's going to get settled. Considering all the other deals I feel like this is just a matter of time before some deal is struck. But I don't think it will be a good relationship going forward between the two, to be honest. At least until some kind of new regime comes in at Disney anyway. What do you guys think?
I think you're 100% correct.
Yeah, I mean, I know Disney really wants it to be an arbitration because then things don't become public, but part of me really wants it to go public so we can see some actual more details. Just an evil part of me, I guess. But it's going to be a very uphill battle. I don't think there's going to be any winners at the end of this civil suit.
Is it a case of in terms of settling this, like her agent didn't take care of her the way that oh God, what's her name? The other actress got taken care of with Cruella. In terms of
Emma Stone?
Yeah, Emma Stone. Is this a case of like one agent being more proactive and communicative than the other, perhaps? Or what do you say about that?
I think they're pawns in this. I don't know. My script has a different.
I think the actors are pawns, and I think the agents are doing something at the behest of maybe a certain producer who's head of a subsidiary studio at Disney.
Oh,
that's what I was insinuating here.
Oh.
Xenobit says Ghostbusters after woke. Well, I'll tell you what. You might have wrote the headlines after the movie comes out if it's good, and it's not all woke.
Yeah. Post woke.
Yeah, post woke. That would be nice. Yeah, Stan Lee. Which movie? Oh, Black Widow. Okay, so Black Widow made about $500 million altogether.
That's decent, given the circumstances. That's pretty decent.
That's what I'm saying. Don't count Spidey down. He's basically their Batman over there. You got to remember that. You guys kind of pointed that out yourselves. So.
Well, yeah, that's a 8-week run, right?
Something like that.
Yeah, but hey, if Spider-Man ends up having like a 12-week run in theaters, it could probably get pretty close to that $1 billion mark.
I'm pretty sure it's a 120-day window, because I don't think it was the same 45-day window as everything else. Because I know they anticipate these movies playing a little longer than the standard movies, so maybe it's a 90-day window.
Well, even if it's see, the thing is that if they really want that billion, they have to keep it isolated in theaters for probably 12 weeks if the conditions currently stay as they are.
Yeah.
Because it's going to have a steep decline, and then it's going to need to, do what the Joker did, which is kind of crawl its way to that $1 billion mark, because it kind of did. It had like a couple of peaks and valleys, and then it ended up just making that $1 billion.
Well, and it all depends on if the movie's good. Like I said, that kind of goes with what I'm saying. Like, let's say the movie's good. I think it could. I think it could be the first movie post-pandemic to make $1 billion. So we'll see. And with that, unless there was anything else you guys wanted to discuss, we could probably start wrapping this up.
Well, all right.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I think we had a really good show. Great activity in the chat. Good conversation, given the moderate news week so far.
Yeah.
And then, hey, Tom, we should do a member stream this weekend.
Yeah, we should. I've been thinking about doing a members karaoke stream. Xenobit says Ghostbusters after woke. Copyright trademark.
Oh my God.
It's yours, you know.
All right, I'll try to remember to give you credit when I bring it up if it comes to be. So yeah, I have high hopes for it. I hope so. It'd be nice. So yeah. All right, kids, let's wrap things up. Script, check out Script's channel. Check out Jesse over at the Crow's Nest, even though he's on vacation. Check out Valiant Renegade. He popped in earlier. Check out Culture Casino, of course. Check out Mexican Iron Man's always hanging out around here, and Midnight's at Espanol sometimes in the main channel. So check all those out as well. He does have his own channel, but he doesn't post a bunch of stuff. He should. You should do your gaming stuff since you talk about gaming so much.
Maybe. I don't know. You know what? I have so much fun hanging out with everybody in these chat streams, you guys on the panel, and supporting other channels and helping them grow. That's where I'm having my fun, you know. But maybe things will change down the road. We'll see. Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah. All right. And with that, I think I'm going to be heading over to 32 Flavors and Nick Weiser here in a few minutes. So,
Oh, he's a cool guy. Yeah,
I don't know what we're talking about, but
I think it's Air Force One.
here he is.
Yes, it is.
Oh, Air Force One. Shit, I should have watched it. I've got it on 4K, but I haven't watched it.
What? You've
since
never
years
seen
ago.
Air Force
Oh,
One?
I've seen it. I just haven't seen it in like 20 years.
Oh, I was
Yeah,
about
there's
to lose it.
Glenn Close is the vice
Get
president,
off
right?
my plane.
Actually, I didn't care for it that much when I saw it. The first
Oh
time.
my God, that
Oh,
movie's
dude.
awesome.
It's all right.
Oh, I love that movie.
So I don't know how much I can add to that one, but I might
I
just
love
stop
that
in
movie.
and say hi.
Gary Oldman's awesome in that.
Oh yeah, it's a decent film, but it was just kind of like
It's
came out at
ridiculous
this
if
time
that's
when you
what it
had
is.
Die Hard on everything, or in something, or over something.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So at that point, I was kind of like Die Hard in a planed out.
Do you think Air Force One would be better if it was Donald Pleasance playing his president character from Escape from New York instead of Harrison Ford doing the same thing?
I don't know.
Definitely be
Maybe.
funnier.
That's true. Bryant Barth, you had a question. Are you still here? How come movies look and feel different in the 60s, 70s, 80s compared to today? Acting feels different. Movies feel more cinematic.
Oh,
Um,
I can answer that
go
easily.
ahead.
There are longer takes in those movies than there's less cuts, to put it that way.
That and film stock differences, technology differences. The 90s started introducing digital editing.
There's
digital
that as well.
effects,
But
digital,
one thing
all that
that I've noticed in doing some weird comparisons with some friends, especially the director I'm working with on one of the scripts where he hired me for, we've noticed that in most modern day films within action or even with drama, there are 2 to 3 dozen cuts for a 90-second scene, whereas in the 60s, 70s, 80s, you get a continual scene, continual shot, continual framing. If there is a cut, it's minimal, and it's really just like an over-the-shoulder thing.
Yeah. Well, there's 2 reasons for that. One is digital editing, and 2 is because a lot of those guys came in from music videos in the 90s.
Oh, no, I wasn't talking 90s. I'm talking like 60s, 70s, and 80s.
Oh, no, I know, but where
Oh,
the
you mean
quick cuts.
in the 90s where they did the fast cuts?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's right, yes.
Yeah, because
But,
with digital, it became a lot easier to do a lot more cutting than it was to do it by hand. And then you had to add in the fact that a lot of these guys worked in music videos, which were a lot of quick cuts.
Well, the other part, too, is that when you shoot on film, you value what's going on to that film more. So you actually have the actors do what they can do. We were talking about Back to the Future earlier. Go watch that movie again. There's a lot of long takes in that film.
Absolutely.
It's incredibly impressive and incredibly engaging.
Well, and another good example is like anything Peter Sellers is in from the 60s and 70s. Because a lot of that shit is all one take usually, and it's all one shot, very well planned out.
Minimal camera movement.
Yep, and it's usually, I was just going to say, it's usually something that'll start on the left or right of the screen, and then throughout the course of the joke, it'll go to the other side of the screen. So it's just it's all planned out in that way. Like it's all one shot usually, and that was kind of the whole point of the joke.
You can even actually see that same technique, I think, was used also in Tropic Thunder for some of the stuff in the jokes. They didn't do quick cuts; they did some longer takes I think that's why it's one of the few comedies of the 21st century that still holds up, just cinematically wise.
Well, that's where they did improvisation right.
Improvisation,
pre-planned improvisation. See, that's the thing is people when they hear improv, they think, oh, these actors are just making it up on the scene. No, 9 times out of 10, They sit there and they play with the scene in script. You should know. You've seen this stuff, right? You could probably take this.
Yeah, well, what they'll do is they'll do the take as it is in the script a couple of times, and then the director, if they want to say, let's go this way because of whatever where they shot previously, they're like, okay, we got like 4 minutes of film left, go, and then we'll see what happens. And they do that, and they pick whatever is best for the final cut.
Yeah. And again, like a lot of times it's always like they don't generally do something completely off guard. That's very rarely.
No, they have best improvisation is there's a goal. So each character has a goal they have to achieve, and each one is trying to get to that goal. The worst type of improvisation is where
Ghostbusters 2016.
Ghostbusters 2016, or where you try to lay out every single specific beat and joke, and you're just having them kind of like wing the gaps in between. That doesn't ever work. It usually always falls apart because you're going for a joke as opposed to creating an interesting scene. And improvisation is all about more of an interesting scene than it is about comedy. And when you understand that, you can actually become a really good improviser.
Well, and that's one thing I learned as we were going through these scripts for specifically Back to the Future ones, is how many lines that Doc has that in any other normal delivery, or depending on the actor who would deliver it, it wouldn't get a laugh, right?
Yeah.
But just because of the way it's delivered, and me channeling, Doc Brown in a way or whatever, just the way he says things and the way he presents things, it's just, again, it's that magic that a certain actor can bring to, I'm sure, when you're writing something that you never thought that was going to get a laugh, or you never expected that line to be the punchline. This line 3 lines down is supposed to be the punchline, but now that's just supporting the other laugh kind of thing,
Yeah, because a character like Doc Brown is weird because he's kind of like a docile eccentric. Like he's got some energy to him, but at the same time, he can also slow himself down, but still say something that's kind of off kilter.
Well, yeah, because like clearly the line like "no more LSD for me" was meant to be a joke.
Yep.
But there's sometimes where there's just times where he'll say like "damn" or "shit" or whatever. Where it just comes.
Where's that damn kid? Or oh look, there's a rhythmic ceremonial event, and you're like, damn.
Something like that. But yeah, no, it's a great question though, and I don't know if you're still here to hear it. Sorry, I didn't see it right away, because you always ask some great questions, Bryant Barth. I try to get to as many as we can. We can't always get to every one of them. But with that, I think we're going to wrap things up, because I'm going to head over and say hi to those guys on Nick Weiser's channel. And again, I don't know how much I can add to it because I haven't seen it in a few years, but yeah, we'll see. But yeah, check out that reading of the Back to the Future script. That was fun. Script joined us for that as well, and I think
over on Jesse Miller and the Crow's Nest.
Yeah, it's over on Jesse's, and the links.
And your Back to the Future one was great too, because I was listening to some of that.
The link for Jesse's channel is in the description, along with a few of the others. And
when y'all get a script that you need a fella from the South, y'all let me know, because Mexican Iron Man be happy to help out with that. Yes, sir.
Oh, I'm sure we'll need some help at some point for sure. And with that, I think we're going to wrap this up. Let's go out with let's see here. What are we going to leave on?
Carne asada, tacos in the rain. No guacamole.
Well, I have to save that
given.
for the main channel. That's kind of the main channel thing. Since
we
were talking about
have guacamole.
Tropic Thunder anyway.
Yes. And lots of money. Play.